The 7-1 Cougars, ranked number 21, come back to the wheat fields of the Palouse to face the struggling Aggies of Utah State under the lights on this Saturday evening here in Pullman, Washington. My name is Josiah Frank, and I'm here with the
Davis Hagen alongside Josiah. Yes, indeed.
Perfect. And we are right back here at Giesa Field and Martin Stadium. And Davis, we're back here in Pullman, Washington. And I just want to start off with a few keys on getting back into this game. Utah State, as I mentioned before, is a program that has kind of been on a downswing. They're 2-6 right now, and they have been riddled with injuries, especially on the defensive side, as well as one of their biggest offensive weapons, Jalen Royal. So, Davis, how do you think that affects not only Utah State, but their chances within this ballgame?
Well, obviously, not having your key players is going to really impact your ability to win football games. And the head coaches and all the coaches are going to say it's next man up mentality. But at some point, you run out of players. And they have so many injuries. They're missing their two best defensive ends, their two best defensive tackles, their two best linebackers, their best receiver, their best tight end, one of their best running backs. That's a lot of players. So they're missing a ton of production. Their defense is second worst in the country, and the only team worse than them, Kent State, who is 0-9 at this point in the season. They give up over 40 points a game, and their offense just can't keep.
That's what we're going to swing right into, is on the flip side, the offensive side of the ball. Talking about Petrus, a couple other guys, Faison, Turner Jr., and those are kind of the main people that are leading the ship for this struggling Utah State Aggies team. Excuse me. So how do you think what do they have to do in order to maybe make a run here at the Cougars here tonight?
Well, I think it's going to start with a guy, Rasul Faison, in the backfield that is really leading the team in every way after the Jalen Royals injury. When you don't have your best receiver, you need to rely on the ground game. They're not a great running football team, But when you have only, that's your best guy. You're going to have to go to him. And so Jalen Royals was their best receiver by far, their best player. And when he's gone, and especially with Brock Lane, their starting tight end being gone, Rasul Faison in the running back room needs to get going, and the ground game needs to be established. Now, the Cougars, on the other side, their defense isn't all that spectacular either. They're a bend-but-don't-break defense, and time again, we see between the 20s, they give up a ton of yards, and they give up a lot of ground to, Ashton Genty and Marquez Cooper from San Diego State, two great running backs. Rasul Faison right there with them in the Mountain West standings. And they're going to need to lock in the red zone because Utah State can move the ball, but then they don't execute as much. They average like over 400 yards a game, but they don't score that many points. So Washington State, this game, almost everything points in their favor.
Absolutely. And then Davis, lastly, Utah State, as we mentioned, struggling right now. Do you even think that, they have a shooting chance here against the Cougars that right now are ranked 21st by the college football rankings and 20th in the AP poll? They're 7-1 right now. We are back in this home environment here at Giesa Field. Do you think they even have a shot at it?
I think they do. I would never count out an opponent, especially a late night in the Palouse, because this type of game is this is a letdown game. You just come off a good win against San Diego State, which was a tough battling win coming back, and then Utah State just beat Wyoming. They got their first win since Robert Morris early in the year, so their first FBS win coming back into Pullman. This is the type of game where they have nothing. That's what they're thinking, and they're riding high off a win. They don't have a lot of players right now because they're so injured, but there's never a team that's out of a game, especially with a team that can throw like they can, with Petrus averaging over 357 yards.
Absolutely. And then on the flip side, the Cougs right now, this is a must-win game. Just needing to handle business, that's something that is very important for the Washington State football team right now. And also, Davis, coming off of last week, that bye week, and also that San Diego State win, do you think momentum has a key role here tonight? Yeah, I think momentum's a crucial aspect. The Utah State head coach talked about it in his press conference last week that momentum is for the weak, but I don't know if I believe that, because momentum, it affects everybody. No matter how much you don't want to accept that, it does. Because when you come in off a big win, but then you get a bye week, momentum is riding high. The feeling is great. When you're 7-1 after last year's result, when you're 4-0 and then you don't even make a bowl game, this year when you're 7-1, you've got the ranking of number 21 this late in the season. Everything's looking up, and the fans are excited. They're trickling in, but it's a really exciting time in Pullman. With so many sports going on, this football team is kind of the center of it all, and I think they're going to have a great time, and the momentum is real. And I just, whether or not all the coaches believe it, I think it's real. Absolutely. And then lastly, I'm an optimistic guy myself. I like to look at the glass half full. We're talking about college football playoff that is coming up very soon here in the next couple of weeks. What do you think the chances are for, our home Washington State program? And do you think we have a shot? And if so, what do you think needs to happen in order for that to make it happen? Yeah. Well, what needs to happen is the Cougs need to win out. That's what needs to happen. They are a great football team, but all they can do is control their own games that they're going to play in. And if everybody else loses in front of them, that's great. But you get to 11-1, and then you let the committee decide, and that's really what it comes down to. And you only have the teams in front of you. They got Oregon State, New Mexico, and Wyoming, and that's, three good teams that you can beat. New Mexico just beat San Diego State, so they just got another win. That's not necessarily a great win, but it's going to, if you lose to them, you're done. So you have to keep winning and win convincingly. Tonight, the defense for Utah State just not there. And, Washington State's offense is great, but are they going to be able to execute that on a dark night, which somehow always seems to come back to bite them? But I think just winning out the rest of your games is important. Yes, and absolutely. And it looks like the fans are starting to trickle in right now. We're actually going to go down to the field and talk to our sideline reporter, Dominic. So, Dominic, how's it going?
Going good down here.
Good.
New Center showed up today, and they're making their presence known. It's loud. We're cheering. I can barely hear myself talk when I get going. So maybe just
That's good to hear. Dom, my only question for you, and you kind of mentioned on it already, how do you think this environment, the Cougs coming back home to Pullman, how do you think it's going to influence this football game before we get started here?
Utah State, you're the visiting team.
I think this crowd's going to have a big impact on the game. The team, often motivated. Going to help the defense get the ball back. I think they're going to have a big impact on the game.
That's amazing, Dom. Well, we're going to thank you so much, and we're going to try to hear back more from you later in this game. And we're going to take a slight break before we get started, before kickoff, as the coin toss is starting to happen right now. But we will be back in just a couple minutes. You are listening to KUGR Student Radio. And we are right back in as this football game here in Washington State is about to kick off. Just a little score update in the college football world. Virginia and Pitt, they have a matchup at in Pittsburgh right now. Pittsburgh ranked number 18 in the nation. They are down right now 13-21. 2 minutes left in the third quarter. And that's a really big game, Davis. We would love for Pittsburgh to have a loss against unranked Virginia. Really talking about those college football playoff hopes, as the Cougars will be kicking off as the Aggies will be receiving on offense for the beginning of the game.
About 30 seconds to go, but that Pitt game's huge. If Washington State wins out and some of the teams in front of them, Pitt is one of those teams that would need to lose. Colorado won tonight against Texas Tech, which is one of Washington State's best wins. That drops down Texas Tech a little bit, but Colorado, really impressive win. And honestly, if Colorado gets in with an undefeated BYU and Colorado wins, that's the worst case scenario for Washington State, which will probably eliminate the Cougars because they don't have a conference championship. That's the main thing that's kind of biting them in the butt right now.
Something that can definitely hurt and harm. So
exactly.
Would love that if Pitt, ranked number 18, the Cougs right now at 21, would be great if they lose a couple spots ahead of us. And we are about to kick off here. The Cougs in their all gray with crimson helmets, and the Aggies of Utah State in their all white. Janikowski looks to be kicking for the Cougs, and it will be kicked off. It will be a touchback. Out there that would have received it is Kyrese White, and that's going to bring up the Aggies on offense. So, Davis, what are you really looking for on this first drive for the Cougar defense?
Well, the defensive side for Washington State's been one that's a bend but don't break. We talked about it in the open, but the defensively for Washington State, Ansel Dimbu has 4.5 sacks in 2 games, and Ethan O'Connor to take away the best receiver that's not Jalen Royals, which is most likely Kyrese White.
Dimbu and the rest of the defensive line ready to get started as Petrus will swing out to Kyrese White, and he's going to be brought down for a quick 5-yard reception. Looks like he's brought down at the 32-yard line, brings up at about 2nd and 3 or 4.
One of the things that Washington State's doing, it's interesting, is Tanner Moku getting the start at safety tonight.
Petrus trips right, throws it over to the receiver, Otto Tia, and Tia's going to be pushed out of bounds, gain of about 1 or so.
That's going to get a first down. And Washington State, last time out against San Diego State, they had a good start, but then it kind of things bogged down. So trying to get out to a fast start is going to be tough. But Utah State goes really, really fast. They have one of the fastest paces in the country. So anytime they sub, Washington State's going to want to get their line changed out.
The Aggies right now, ball on the 35. Brings up a new set of downs, 1st and 10. Petrus fakes off a handoff, sets back in the pocket, pressure, and it's going to be swung out back to Tia, and he's going to pick up around 6.
Yeah, Utah State's offense averaging 459 yards a game, and that's with, Spencer Petrus, who's an Iowa transfer that didn't really average over 200 yards in his 3 years starting there.
Petrus, hands off, fakes the handoff to Turner. Attempt is no good, as it's going to bring up 3rd and 4. Target miss on that opportunity. It looked to be Josh Sturzer, the tight end, just misses it.
Well, that's one of the big misses for Utah State this week is Brock Lane, the starting tight end. That would have been probably a catch.
And it's going to bring up 4th down. A great defensive play by, I believe, to be
Penner Gushikin.
Yeah, Gushikin.
With the good defensive play, the nickel getting out wide and covered. Excellent play, especially when Utah State loves to throw it. You can lock down those receivers. I mean, that was Kyrese White. That's the guy that has to step up.
Going to bring up 4th down for the Aggies, and they're going to bring out the punt crew. The punt by the Aggies is high, and it looks to be short. It's going to be bounced and picked up by the Aggies at around the 33-yard line. That's going to bring up the Cougar offense, John Mateer and the crew, as the Cougs are going to try to march down and score a few points on the scoreboard.
Yeah, Washington State's offense has been really electric this year, 38.1 points a game, and that's really impressive. They've been a lot more balanced than they were last year. They can run the ball a little bit better. I would like to see an even stronger run game, but right now, I think the run game is probably going to be the thing because they're missing, again, their two best defensive tackles, 2 D-ends, and 2 linebackers. That's the entire front box where the run game stop can happen, and Wayshawn Parker is probably going to break some ankles tonight.
Wayshawn Parker to the left of Mateer in the backfield. 1st and 10 on the 35 for the Cougs. And they're getting ready for their first drive. Mateer drops back. Attempt to Kyle Williams is no good, and it's going to bring up 2nd and 10.
Not a bad try to get that out to Kyle Williams early, but it just wasn't really executed well. It was a little flash screen set to Williams, and he's a guy that got injured in that San Diego State game, came back and made a huge catch to set up the game-winning game to take the lead, at least for Mateer and company.
3 receivers to the right, as well as Wayshawn Parker to the right of Mateer. Brings up 2nd and 10 for the Cougs. 13 minutes left in this first quarter, still undecided. Mateer looking to his left. He's going to scramble outside of the pocket. He's going to swing over to, it looks like, Anthony Freeman, who's going to pick up about 6 yards and bring up 3rd and short.
When Mateer gets on the move, he does a really good job keeping his eyes downfield. He's been scrambling to throw as opposed to scrambling to run as the season has progressed, and I think that's what the coaching staff has instilled in him to keep himself away from those big hits.
3rd and 3.
The Cougs are going to bring up 3rd and 3 right now. Mateer getting close to his line, but steps back in the shotgun formation. Parker to his right. Mather's in motion. And he's going to go to Mathers, and Mathers is going to pick up the first down and push outside of bounds around the 49-yard line. And that's going to pick up first down for the Cougs.
Good job by Cooper Mathers, who's really been fantastic this year. We didn't really expect him to have as big as role as he has, but he's been absolutely crucial for the Cougs.
The Cougs on the 49. Mateer, hand off to Wayshawn Parker. Wayshawn Parker is going to move for about 10. He's going to pick up around 13 until he's brought down, and that's going to get another first down for the Cougs.
Well, now they get the first down. They go hyper speed, which Washington State doesn't. Neither team really huddles, and that's going to be a really quick game tonight if both teams keep going like that.
Tempo offense from the Cougs. Mateer, handoff right back to Parker. He's going to go to the 30. Parker gets brought down around the 25-yard line, a gain of around nearly 15, another first down. Wayshawn Parker.
Well, when you're missing that many players on the inside, stopping the run is going to be tough, especially against a guy like Wayshawn Parker, who's a fantastic running back.
Mateer trips right, handoff right back to Parker. He's only going to pick up around 5 or 6 this time, brings up 2nd and 5.
The one thing that Utah State's never going to, show is lack of effort. They're always going to go 110%, and that's something that you love to see from these guys that are 3rd and 4th string getting thrust in this opportunity. They won last week against Wyoming, and they've done a really nice job sticking together and not kind of giving up on this season.
Palula Lossley, the other running back, comes in as well as Josh Meredith. Palula Lossley to the left of Mateer in the gun formation. 2nd and 5. Mateer gives it off to Palula Lossley. A little short kick, and Palula Lossley bounces off one man. It'll be dropped down around the 16 or 17-yard line, brings up 3rd and 1.
Short distance for Washington State to go. I would not be surprised if they had a John Mateer run with a potential Palula lead block, but I don't know how much they want to run Mateer in a game like this where you think you can get as many yards as you can without using him as kind of your safety net.
Palula Lossley on the left of Mateer. 3rd and 1, ball on the 16-yard line. Cougs trying to march down and get into the red zone. Mateer fakes snap. He hands off to Palula Lossley, fakes the handoff, and targets, it looks to be Josh Meredith out there for the touchdown, but it will be overthrown.
Well, that's the thing for Mateer this year. He's got guys open, and he has a cannon of arm, but it's been the accuracy issues that have plagued him. I just don't know exactly what, needs to be changed for that, because he's got the talent. He has all the tools to make that happen, but he just misses guys on long throws.
Cougs are going to take a little bit of time, and they're going to go for it here on 4th and short. 4th and 1, a really valuable pickup if the Cougs can get it. Mateer in the lone, in the gun formation by himself. 4th and 1, Mateer. He drops back, and he's going to hit it over to Kyle Williams. Kyle Williams is going to break away. Kyle Williams will score the first touchdown for the Washington State Cougars, 6-0 as we get into this first quarter.
Well, that's one of the things that plagues Utah State is tackling, and Kyle Williams is really tough to bring down. You have to get multiple guys to him, but they didn't that time, and he's so fast, he just pulls away from the defense like nothing even happened, and 6-0 Cougars early.
Cougars chalking it up early, 10:24 left in this first quarter, and it is 6-0, and it looks to be Janikowski getting ready for the extra point. Kind of faking that formation for maybe a 2-point conversion, but ultimately getting back into that extra point formation. Janikowski, Mateer holding. The snap, good. Hold, good. Kick, good. 7-zip, Washington State.
It's a great drive from Washington State, pretty balanced. We saw a lot of Wayshawn Parker getting him down there, and then John Mateer just getting it out quick. They tried to run that same play on the opening play of the drive, and it was, denied by Utah State, but they try it again. They correct their stuff, and then they get a touchdown out of it. So I would not be surprised if we saw a lot of quick screens out to the receivers and just get them in space against these Utah State defenders that have seemed to have a really hard time tackling players this year.
Yes, I mean, we've talked about it, struggles on defensively for Washington State, but definitely for Utah State, one of the key games and memories that kind of brings up is them playing Boise State. Ashton Genty, one of the best running backs in the college football realm right now. Utah State not being able to bring him down on multiple occasions. So it'd be great tonight if we could kind of target those similar things. If that's with Kyle Williams, if that's with Josh Meredith, that missed overthrown ball right before the touchdown. Just really trying to focus in on that, and maybe we can hone in on those weaknesses.
Yeah, and one of the other things for Utah State that's super interesting is they have 10-plus players from JUCO colleges, which is kind of crazy when you think about how many injuries they have, and then their backups are from JUCO. So really, it's kind of a massive talent gap between Washington State and Utah State at this point in the season. Early in the season, Utah State was competing against Utah when they still had Cam Rising. He went out in that game, but Wilson came back in and beat him. But Utah State's a team that has a lot of talent. They got a great pipeline coming in there. Jordan Love went to that school, playing for the Packers, playing great. But right now, there's just not a lot of things going right, and their season got off to a horrible start before it even started, really. They fired their coach in July, and they brought in their interim head coach, and it really hasn't been a great unit yet. And I think that's just kind of when you fire your coach like a month before the season starts, that's going to happen. The former head coach, Blake Anderson, was fired on July 2nd after, less than a week after his child. So that's got to be kind of devastating for the team that has relationships with that coach. Yeah. Everyone's excited for the birth of his child, and then they fire him.
Oh, boy.
And now, they bring in the interim coach, Nate Drilling, and this is first season as, a head coach at Utah State. So to, bring a D1 program up from, this former head coach, Blake Anderson, that had done a great job at getting them, relevant. He was the, really good coach, but it's unfortunate for Utah State because they're a fun team to watch when they're good.
They are indeed. A little factoid of talking about good Utah State teams. You mentioned Jordan Love playing for the Green Bay Packers in the NFL right now. A little factoid, Davis. From 1912, the beginning of Utah State football, as Utah State's receiving team is getting out as the Cougs will get ready to kick it off. From 1912 to 2012, the Utah State Aggies did not have a 10-plus win season within those 100 years. Wow. And they've only had 4 10-plus win seasons since 2012. So just kind of interesting little factoid that Utah State football has kind of had its kind of ups and downs and kind of been middle of the pack for a very long time.
Very interesting.
Janikowski's going to kick it back off for the Cougs. They were talking about injuries, but it looks to be he's okay. Talking about broken hand or something of that sort, but it looks like he's moving really well. It's going to be a touchback. going to bring out the Aggies offense.
The nice thing for kickers is you don't really need your hands unless
You
you're punting. And Haber was in the press conference this week. Dickert said Haber would be back, the punter who had back issues all year. They're redshirting him, so there's only 4 games left, so he's good to go probably the rest of the season. But Janikowski, breaking his hand, not in the fight. It was right before, apparently, as Dickert said, allegedly. But the only thing that would matter is if you're catching a punt. But you don't use your hands as a kicker.
Exactly.
You're good.
Petrus and the white uniform Aggies offense is going to come up. Motion from the offense is going to be a handoff to, it looks to be Turner. And Turner's going to pick up maybe 2 or 3. But Turner, the true freshman out of Richmond, California, going to pick up 2 or 3 and going to bring up 2nd and long for the Aggies.
It's been Rasul Faison most of the year, but Turner coming in kind of maybe trying to get him a spark. We didn't see Faison get a touch.
Not yet. Petrus draws back in the pocket, looking over to his left, motioning over to Josh Sturzer, the tight end. He's going to have a huge gain of about 17. That's going to get a first down for the Aggies.
That was wide open. I don't know. There was a busted coverage somewhere because Sturzer should not be just sitting pretty wide open.
Wide open to his left. 1st and 10 now for the Aggies. They are on the 42-yard line. Petrus fakes the handoff, actually gives it over to Turner Jr. He's going to pick up a big pickup around 8 or so. And that's going to bring up 2nd and short.
This is kind of what Utah State does. They get a first down, they go quick, and then they just start building yards. But can they turn it into points? That's been their Achilles heel all year on offense. They have a bunch of yards, but can they get points?
Trips right for Petrus. 2nd and 1 as they are marching into Washington State territory. Petrus hands off to Turner Jr. And it looks to be close, and it's going to be short. Oh, no, it looks to be that they're going to motion the chains.
It was right on the line.
It
really
was
close.
Super close. 1st and 10 now for the Aggies, and they've started to march down here a little bit in Cougar territory.
Yes, they are, and they're doing a good job trying to establish the run. They've had some break open. They had that one for almost got them the first down before. But there's the defensive line for Washington State's done a good job stacking it up so far.
Petrus fakes a handoff, gives it over to Tia, but he's going to be tackled by a string of Cougs. And it looks to be he's going to be tackled over by Steve Hall, the cornerback. Going to bring in a switch of defensive members from the Cougar defense. Nearly all of them switching out. Looks to be about Hall staying in, one of the few.
Almost 8 minutes to go in this first quarter. It's been a pretty solid defensive performance. They're giving up the most yards they have tonight, but it's only been 2 possessions for Utah State.
Petrus and the Aggies, 2nd and long, 2nd and about 14. He drops back in the pocket, and he's looking over a pickup of a gain about 6 or 7 or so by Jack Estera, the receiver. That's going to bring up 3rd and long.
Yeah, there's all these guys for Utah State. Estera, Grant Page, Kyrese White, Otto Tia, all these receivers that need to step up after Jalen Royals goes down. Dicker was talking about Royals, and before he knew he was out for the season, he thought he was one of the best receivers in the entire country.
Petrus, 3rd and 7, tries to draw the offsides penalty on the defensive line. There's a no-go. Petrus getting ready for the snap. Low snap. Petrus drops back in the pocket, escapes. He's taking off. Petrus is going to pick up the first down. Looks to be maybe the ball popped out a little bit, but he was down, and that's going to be a first down for the Aggies.
Yes, Petrus surprisingly mobile. He did sprints and hurdles in high school, and is a guy that when you look at him, you're not going to think scrambler, but he just has enough juice to get there.
He might not have as many wheels as Petier has.
Absolutely not. That's true, but he does have enough maybe to get him first down.
Yeah, he's a Division I.
For sure.
Yes, quarterback. He can move. Petrus hands off to Turner. Turner cutting up to the left, and he's going to pick up a nice gain of around 7 or 8, brings up 2nd and 3 or so.
One of the things we talked about in the open was between the 20s, Washington State gives up a bunch of yards, but then in the red zone, that's when they lock down and then don't allow touchdowns.
Utah State slowly marching closer and closer into Cougar country. 2nd and 5, Petrus fakes handoff, drops back way in the pocket, going to sling it over to Hystera, who's going to be brought down around the 4-yard line. A huge reception, and it brings them into the red zone.
Good throw from Petrus, but another wide open receiver, and something's got to change in the secondary for Washington State. Something's not being communicated right.
2 big missed opportunities, and now the Aggies are on the 4. Petrus hands off to Turner Jr. He's going to pick up about a yard, bring up 2nd and goal.
I'm a little surprised we haven't seen much Faison tonight. He was their leading rusher coming into this game. Wonder if something's up with that. He was only out there for the first possession and didn't get a touch.
Yeah, have not seen him since. Don't know if maybe something happened or.
Well, with Utah State's luck, he's probably out for the year now.
Exactly. Like we've mentioned before, riddled with injuries. Ball on around the 3.5. Getting pretty loud here at Gisa Field Martin Stadium. Petrus takes the snap, looks to his left, and it's going to be Hystera for the touchdown. A nice little pass to his left, a couple yards, and Utah State's on the board now.
Well, that was a good play from Petrus. It was perfect placement on the throw. The defense, though, for Washington State, they ran man coverage, and there was a bunch of crossers going across the field, and Hystera just had the extra step on, I think it was Tyson Durant that was trying to get him, but just didn't have the angle on there because he was coming down over the top, and by the time Hystera was already through, he was
7-6 as the extra point crew. It looks to be either Nimrod or Cragen. He's turned to his side, getting ready for the extra point for Utah State, and it will be up through the uprights, and it will be a 7-7 ball game. 5 minutes left in the first quarter.
Yeah, that was Cragen on the extra point, and he had the game winner, 40-yarder last time out for Utah State against Wyoming. I keep wanting to say last week, but both these teams had bye weeks.
Exactly.
So there's been, both teams, it was the last game, but it hasn't been last week. So it's been a nice refresher, at least for Washington State, to get some of those guys that went down against San Diego State. That field was less than ideal, and there was a lot of people that went down. But for Utah State, all their guys are out for the year. They don't have anybody that's expected to come back, except for their corner, Avante Dickerson. I don't know if we've seen him tonight, number 16. He's a guy that missed the game against Wyoming, but they were expecting him to be back. So it's gonna be tight for Utah State to make sure that nobody goes out in this game, because we said earlier, next man up. But at some point, you're running out of guys.
Exactly.
Got to get to the walk-ons and the team managers at some point.
I know. Looking even on the sideline right now, it just looks kind of bare compared to the vast number of gray jerseys that the Cougs have against the Aggies in their white. I know they traveled here, but I don't know about you, but it just looks like they're light.
We were looking at it in pregame warmups,
Right.
and we were wondering where the rest of the team was, and then the defensive line came out, but there was only about 12 guys that came out, and Washington State, the flood of anthracite coming through the field. And yeah, I think, most of the time, I think some of their players probably getting like rehab and stuff with those season-ending injuries, but it is a little surprising that it's so barren out there on the sideline, especially for, a team that is a Division I football team with these little amount of players. But there's a lot of players in sweatpants, I tell you what.
Quite a few. I liked how you talked about, that secondary defense. What do you think right now, if you were maybe a defensive back coach or something like that, talking to those guys, talking to a Chris Hudson, talking to Jackson Latamua, Tyson Durant, Ethan O'Connor, talking to all those guys, what would you say to them right now so that maybe they can try to fix that up so that they're not exploiting, especially that left to right side, just getting all those big gains?
Well, the first thing I would say is know your role and know what you're supposed to do on each play. Communicate to each other before the snap and make sure that you know who you're covering if you're man. And then also don't underestimate the speed of these receivers. And I think he kind of underestimated the speed. He thought he was going to be able to get there on the end zone on that touchdown play for Utah State. And if you take your first step but you're slow, you're already too late. So you have to put your foot in the ground and go. You can make a mistake, but you have to make your mistake at 100%.
I absolutely agree with that, as the Aggies are going to start to kick off. Looks to be some type of recognition on the right side of the field, but it looks to be ending as Nimrod will be kicking off.
Great name.
Great name, Nimrod. That's amazing. Kicking off for the Utah State Aggies. The ball game right now, if you're just joining in with us, 7-7 right now, 5:01 left in the first quarter. We're here in Pullman, Washington, and the Aggies are about to kick off. The kick by Nimrod is going to be caught and brought out to the 10, the 15, and it's going to be tripped up. It looks to be Leighton Smithson with the carry from the kick return.
Not a bad return from Smithson, but he's a really fast guy, but that time just got, out-angled essentially by Utah State. Last year, in one of the coldest games of the year, had a kick return touchdown, 98 yards against Colorado. That really, that game was a blowout, but it kind of sparked the initial, scoring streak for Washington State.
Mateer and the Cougar offense are back on the 15-yard line. Mateer in shotgun formation. It's going to be a quick handoff to Kyle Williams. Kyle Williams is going to pick up nearly nothing. I believe actually nothing. It's going to bring up 2nd and 10 for the Cougs.
One thing I would note, it's been a relatively penalty-free game so far. This quarter is kind of flying by, which is a little bit odd for Cougar games, especially late-night Cougar games. Those always seem to go at least till midnight.
Really late around these parts. Mateer and the crew, 2nd and 10. Doubles to his right receivers, as well as Mathers to his right. Mateer rolls over to his right side, fakes a handoff. He's going to take off. Mateer is going to pick up around 9 and is going to be brought and pushed out of the sideline. Brings up 3rd and short for the Cougs.
It's always refreshing to see Mateer hit that second gear. When he starts to scramble, he's kind of slow, methodical, waiting for the pass. And then when he tucks it and runs it, he's so fast, and then he just pulls away from the defense. But also good to see Schellenbaker out there.
Yes.
Dickert said he was kind of dealing with some illness in the bye week, and good to see him out there.
Devensky Schellenbaker. That's another great name.
Absolutely.
The Cougs actually pick up the first down, 1st and 10 now, ball on the 25. Still 7-7 ball game. Mateer hands it off to Schellenbaker. He's going to pick up around 5. 2nd and 5 for the Cougs.
Good first down play to set up 2nd and medium, and now you can really do anything you want, especially with a great ground attack so far tonight.
Mateer, Schellenbaker to his right, trips right, fakes off the Schellenbaker. He's going to swing it off to Hernandez. Hernandez is going to pick up around 3 or 4, brings up 3rd and 1.
Utah State tacklers doing a lot of submarine, torpedo attacks. They are not using their arms to wrap up. They're kind of just bouncing off Cougar offensive players, and I think they got to use their arms more, but maybe it's too cold for them. I don't know.
Call me crazy. I know it snows a lot in Utah, but they might need to wrap up a little better. That might be maybe the problem. I don't know. Mateer, 3rd and 1 for the Cougs. Ball on the 34. Mateer fakes a handoff. He's going to take off. Mateer is going to pick up around 9 until he is tackled by a flurry of white. Going to pick up the first down for the Cougs. And also a little bit speaking about the college football world, Alabama beats LSU 42-6. 42-6. LSU ranked 15 in the nation, Alabama 11. As Mateer's going to hand it back off to Schellenbaker. He's going to be tackled down, picks up a gain of around 2 or 3.
That LSU score is crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
That was supposed to be one of the best games of the weekend, and LSU just got boat raced.
Yeah, absolutely. They got ran over 42-6 at home for LSU. In Death Valley's, not the nicest place to play in, but
for sure.
Clearly Alabama handled that very easily. As the Cougs, 2nd and long. Mateer draws back, looking to his right, looks back to center. Ball is going to be batted away by the defensive lineman. Looks to be big number 90, Isaiah Bruce, the D tackle. And that's going to bring up 3rd and long.
Good job getting the hands up in the passing lanes. Anytime you can knock it down, especially if you can't get to the quarterback, just throw the hands up and you might get lucky. That's J.J. Watt type of move.
Exactly.
If you're getting triple-double teams, but they're not necessarily doing that, but they're getting their hands up, which is really nice to see.
Looks to be around a 5-man front for the defensive line for Utah State. 3rd and 8. Mateer alone. Trips right. He's going to swing over to Josh Meredith. Josh Meredith's going to cut up and is going to pick up a huge gain of around 12 or 13 and get the first down for the Cougs.
Great play from Meredith, but a little bit lucky for Washington State that Chris Hudson didn't get called for a block in the back. It was a risky play, but either way, it's a first down.
Ball on the 43-yard line. Still a 7-7 ball game. a minute left in the first quarter. We're nearing the end. Matier in the backfield by himself. Looks like the referees are just waiting a moment maybe to get the chains situated as it brings up 1st and 10 for the Cougs. Matier, shotgun formation, swings it out, nearly picks off, and it's going to be a huge pickoff by Carlos Hernandez. A near interception for John Matier, but brings up a huge gain for the Cougs. Ball's on around the 19.
He put some RPMs on that one to get it through DJ Graham's hand. I don't know how he missed that. He was going the other way. He thought he had a touchdown, but all of a sudden it's not in his hands anymore. Oh, my gosh, the replay, I still think he caught it. In my eyes, it's an alternate reality we're living in now because DJ Graham should be in the end zone with that one.
Oh, my goodness, just centimeters away from an interception.
Wow.
Great game for the Cougs. They are in the red zone. Matier takes off a handout, looking to his right. It's going to be swung over to, it looks to be Trey Lechner, the Snohomish, Washington native from Glacier Peak High School. He's going to pick up a gain of around 6 or so. Brings up 2nd and goal.
Yeah, bringing in 2 tight ends now. They got Revere out there with Mathers, and kind of nice to see Lechner. He hasn't really been too much of an impact this year, but great to see him getting involved.
Matier, Wayshawn Parker to his right. Motioning Parker to the right. Matier's going to take a hand off, but he's going to swing over to Parker. Parker is going to grab it and get brought down around the 1-yard line. Almost had a great path for a touchdown, but it's going to bring up 3rd and goal at the 1.
Designed run for John Matier, but a heads-up play. He was still behind the line of scrimmage, and he dumps it out to Wayshawn Parker, and that will probably be the last play of the first quarter, but what a play from John Matier.
And we talk about that near interception that just happened a few moments ago. Luckily for the Cougs, brings up a huge gain. But, oh, my goodness. The Cougs go down to 1, and we are going to switch quarters. We're going to take a break for a hot second. 7-7 ball game here in the Palouse. You are listening to KUGR Student Radio.
Coming up, sevens in Pullman. It's 7-7 Washington State and Utah State with second quarter just about to get started. Davis Hagen alongside with Josiah Frank. Cougars have the ball on the 1 yard line. Anything you see, expect to see maybe a John Mateer dive over the top or anything special here?
I want to see something really cool here. You know, we're at a tie ball game in a must-win situation for the Cougs. It just needs to be a game that we need to handle business. And I think we really need to reiterate that, especially on the defensive side as well. But the Cougs right now, on the offensive side, ball is on the 1, and we'll see if we can do something maybe a little tricky. Yeah, we're getting ready here to start the second quarter off.
In a little sugar huddle, they break, and the ball's on the 1 yard line. They're in the I formation. Wayshawn Parker, the setback behind Cooper Mathers, the tight end. Mateer under center, takes the snap, hands it off to Wayshawn Parker, dives forward and scores. It's a touchdown for Washington State. First play of the second quarter, and it's 13-7 Cougars.
A great 1 yard drive, just running the football right down your throat to pick up the second Cougar touchdowns. I love that little celebration too. They kind of like close goalposts. I thought that was super neat as well.
Great play from Washington State. They ran a similar play against Texas Tech with Schlenbaker in the backfield from the I formation, but this time Wayshawn Parker gets to punch it in. And anytime you're at the 1 yard line, on first and goal especially, you should be able to punch it in. So Janikowski to kick the extra point. Missed here the holder on PATs, but they were expecting Haber to be the holder on regular field goals. This kick is up, and it is good. 14-7 Washington State leads, and we're going to go down to Dominic in a little bit just to get a report on the atmosphere as it's changed throughout this game. But Josiah, so far this game's been good for Washington State. The momentum right now on their side, as we talked about early, the momentum. What do you see so far?
Right now, the Cougar offense has done a really good job of just marching down the field, picking up games. If that's hands off to either Wayshawn Parker, Palulasi, or targets maybe to Josh Meredith or something like that. They've done an amazing job of just kind of chipping down the green and getting into the end zone. And did a great job right there. High formation, we hadn't seen a ton of that. Moving them and just marching them right into the touchdown area. So just a great play of just chopping down the Utah State Aggies defense and scoring.
Down to Dominic Murphy on the sideline for a quick update. Dominic, take it away.
Yeah, the fans are making a difference in the team. They're getting 3 and long with the third. They're making a difference here. Impact so far.
Thank you, Dominic, and we'll come back to Dominic later in the game, but thank you so much for that report. Yeah, I think it's hard to hear, but I think what he was saying was that the crowd has been loud, and he thought it was affecting the Cougar offense a little bit. They go a little bit slower than Utah State, so the Aggies like to go really quick, hyper speed, and so the crowd can't really affect them too much because they know exactly what they're going to go do. So Washington State, sometimes the home crowd advantage might work against them, but overall, it's been really nice to see the loud crowd. They love to see good plays, but sometimes they get a little quiet in times. But the Aggies of Utah State come into this game after beating Wyoming. Do you think there's anything that they're going to try to do? I mean, in that Wyoming game, it was kind of back and forth, and it was like 20 in the 20s. So you're not going to see them try to probably get 40 tonight because they've got a pretty slow start so far. I mean, only 7 points at the end of the first quarter. But do you think there's anything that Utah State can do to exploit this Washington State defense? Did you see anything in the first quarter that stood out to you?
Absolutely. The first thing I think that they can really exploit is their use of Rashad Faison. We saw him only get one touch, maybe, during the first quarter, and then he was non-existent, absent for the rest of the quarter. Besides the severe miss of Jalen Royals, that was their star number 1 offensive target. Faison was the next guy up, and in the weeks leading up to this game, Faison had been the guy. It looks to be Turner Jr., the true freshman, has been the target. So maybe utilizing both of those running backs that can also catch the ball as well. They're just great athletes, and maybe chopping down to that Cougar defense where the secondary was having some issues.
Janikowski back out to kick it away again for the third time tonight. It's 14-7. Washington State has the lead with 14:57 to go. Just 3 seconds into the second quarter, they punch it in with Wayshawn Parker. Janikowski getting set to kick it away. It's Kyrese White and Herschel Turner Jr. back to return for the Aggies. Petrus having a decent game so far, but just one touchdown pass after 3 possessions. Janikowski with his arm in the air, ready to go. That broken hand has a little wrap on it. It's the right hand for Janikowski. Raises it into the sky at the ready. Kickoff is a short wobbler. It's an onside kick, and the Cougars might be on it. There's a pile at the 45-yard line, and the referees are coming in and saying that it's going to be Washington State football, and Janikowski recovered his own onside kick. What a play, Pat McAfee-esque.
Oh, my goodness. Janikowski with a great play, something we saw in that San Diego State game just a few weeks ago. An onside kick, but recovered by the Cougars, and we're going to come back on offense.
In quarter number 2, Mateer on the offense back out. Leo Pugliasi, the running back. Kyle Williams out to the right alone. What a absolutely devastating play for Utah State, thinking, okay, we did get scored on, but we're going to get the ball back. But no, that's not at all how it's going to happen. Avante Dickerson was the guy that was going to be covering Williams, but instead they switch Hernandez out to the far right. They stack the receivers to the left with Mathers and Williams. Pugliasi off the right hip of Mateer. The ball's on the 45-yard line, moving left to right. 14:55 to go, 14-7 Washington State. Referees still waiting for play. Nate Dreeling is on the field talking with the referees, probably asking to make sure that that ball did go 10 yards, and now he's signaling to the sideline judge to blow the play dead, and he's going to call a timeout. And yeah, so Utah State wants to challenge if it went 10 yards. This will be interesting to see if you can see where the ball was, because there were so many Cougars over the top of that, and it has to go 10 yards before the onside. The kicking team can recover it. So if he touched it before that, it will be Utah State ball, because that's illegal touching. But it looked like he was waiting for it to go 10, and then he just fell on it. So anything you saw that stood out? It's hard to see.
Yeah,
You're showing it on the replay, and yeah.
It looks to be on this replay. It's close, that's for sure.
Yeah, it looks like Janikowski's 10 yards, but it matters where the ball is. So if he's at 10 yards and he grabbed it at 9, that's still not 10. So it's going to be really hard to overturn it, I think, but
yes,
it's also a little interesting and a good challenge from Utah State.
No, rightfully so. You know, they're in a position right now. They're down by 7 against 7-1 Washington State team. I would like to challenge the ball, too, that maybe, we can have a shot to try and tie this ball game up instead of giving the Cougars a chance to extend this lead.
Yeah, and especially if this didn't go 10 yards and Utah State gets it, they have tremendous field position inside Washington State territory. And instead of 75 yards to go, maybe it's only 45. So this could be probably one of the best challenges you could do as a coach. And it's really close, but I don't even know if Janikowski was the first one to touch it, because it bounces up. And it looks like it kind of went over, but this is an angle from straight down the field from the end zone. So it's really hard to tell exactly what line it's crossing. They don't have a shot right down the line at the 45. This game being broadcasted on the CW, a limited amount of cameras. If it was a national TV broadcaster, it would probably be more angles. But this is a tough call. I would not want to be the referee in this situation, having to make this call. This is a huge momentum switch. If Washington State has it, and their offense is humming, it could be a potential 14-point swing.
Yeah, it looks to be when the ball hits its last hop off of the turf, it looks to maybe cross that 10-yard threshold, and it looks to be someone from the Cougar kicking team gains it when the ball's still kind of in the air, and then kind of lands on it. So it wasn't really falling on the ball. They caught it and then landed, but they're also kind of on their knees. So just like a weird.
Yeah, it is weird, but good for Washington State, making sure every player is at the 45-yard line and behind that, because if you're early, it's pretty clear, but they at least are giving themselves a shot here. And it looks like it bounces off of Leon Neal, number 12, and then right into the waiting arms of Janikowski, because he was trying to grab it. He's arms up here, and Leon Neal's over the top. It bounces off his chest. It's really hard to see. This angle is not exactly perfect. And even the one on the above shot, you can't see where the ball is. There's too many players in the way. So my opinion would be it should stand, because that was what it was called on the field. And I think you're in agreement with that. And here we go. We're going to get the call. Maybe. Here we go. We're going to get the call.
Number 15, the kicking team, did block before the ball went 10 yards. That is an illegal block. Kicking team.
So it turns out that it was not about the ball at all, and that a Cougar player blocked into one of the Utah State players. That's a rule change from a few years ago where if the ball doesn't go 10 yards, you can't touch the other team either. You can't touch the ball or the other team. So they run into the player to block him to make a little wall and a little opening for Washington State, and that's an illegal play. But I'm surprised that they could review that and call a penalty. You can't even review a face mask, but you can review that, which is interesting, but it's probably the right call. And they moved the ball all the way to the 30-yard line. So this offense, and Faison back out there, he was warming up, making sure that he's good to go. So he might have got banged up on that first possession, but he's back out there. And all of a sudden, instead of Washington State getting the ball at the 45, it's Utah State ball at the 30.
Yeah, it looks to be as the Aggies are coming back to the sidelines.
And now there's even more confusion. I don't know what's going on because the Aggies are coming back to the sideline. Washington State's on their sideline. The refs are at meeting. They place the ball at the 30-yard line.
I might be a little biased, Davis, but I just feel like that play being overturned maybe is one thing, but being able to overturn it looked to be kind of little evidence. Like, it looked to be so confusing. I feel like that would be a very hard thing to overturn, but, like I said, I'm not an official.
Well, it looks like they're going to do another kickoff. It turns out that there was an illegal play, so no play at all, and now it's going to be another kickoff. Janikowski to set it up on the tee. That's something I don't know if I've really ever seen.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Interesting stuff.
Maybe on any level of football.
So it's a 5-yard penalty back from the original 35-yard line at the X, and so Janikowski to kick it off again. It's almost like nothing happened, just a 5-yard delay, and still 14:55 to go in the second quarter, 14-7. This has been the craziest 5 seconds of a quarter I think I've ever seen. Janikowski to kick it away. White and Turner back once again, but this time the kick actually goes deep, and it's White from the 2-yard line, brings it out on the right side, heads towards the hash mark, and breaks it up the middle of the field, and Thornton is there to clobber him at the 22-yard line, and that's where Utah State will start their drive. So all of that, just 14-7 Washington State.
Davis, I don't know if you've seen maybe on social media or something like that, those AI videos where they kind of change something that's happened in real life.
Yeah.
I feel like that just happened there. There was a ton of things, and then we just re-kicked and nothing happened.
We were living in an alternate universe because DJ Graham should have had that interception going down the sideline. So that's probably what changed everything.
Cancel it out. What's going on here?
I don't know. So we got trips left, little short trip formation. They motion White from right to left. Handoff to Faison, his first touch of the night, and he stumbles his way forward for a gain of about 3 to the 25-yard line, and he'll bring up 2nd down and 7. Interesting that we have only seen one carry from Faison, who is the leading rusher coming into this game for Utah State. Petrus, his heels are on the 20-yard line. It's 2nd down and 7. Utah State down 7. 14:24 to go in the second quarter. Play action. Petrus going long over the middle, and it is bobbled and incomplete. Almost connecting with his man, but that's just a little bit not, I don't know if he was falling down or if it was a bad pass, but either way.
Kehano Davis trying to bobble that catch and drops it.
Seen a lot of targets to a lot of different receivers, especially with obviously Jalen Royals going out, but these guys trying to step up, and if that's Royals, that's probably a touchdown, but Davis just that time couldn't catch it. Bringing shame to the name. From the 25-yard line, 3rd down and 7, 14:18 to go in the second quarter. Washington State 14, Utah State 7. Faison off the right hip of Petrus. Looking to the sideline for the call. And a timeout is going to be called by Utah State. So a pretty big 3rd down. They may want to make sure they get it right. Ball's on the 26-yard line. So, Josiah, anything you would craft up here for Utah State to try to get 7 yards?
Yeah, 3rd and 7 right now. Petrus right now, I think, kind of attacking that middle of the field. I know Davis just dropped that ball for about 15 to 20. But, if he would have caught that reception, that brings up now a 1st and 10 for the Aggies. So if they can kind of exploit this secondary, it's been having issues kind of in the backfield. The corners and the DBs just have had issues today. So if I'm, the head coach right now, I'm maybe trying to chalk up something where we can target right, left, middle, something. Maybe take a little shot at it, 15, 20 yards, and I don't know, gamble a little bit. Yeah.
Just over 14 minutes to go in the second quarter. Washington State 14, Utah State 7. You're listening to KUGR, the student voice of the Palouse. (14-7) Washington State back at Gisa Field. Josiah Frank and Davis Hagen. Utah up on BYU 14-10 with 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. That's a development because if BYU keeps losing, that might be good for Washington State, but also might not be great. So they think they want BYU to keep winning and stay undefeated and also beat Colorado in the Big 12 championship if it comes to that. So 3rd down and 7 from the 26-yard line. Quick snap, jet sweep, keeper. And this is Austin Barnes driving forward, and he just gets the first down.
A big first down for the Aggies as they try to march closer and closer to the KUGR side of the football field.
First down for Utah State, and they called a timeout, and it ends up working out for them, trying to keep this drive alive. They can go down and tie it with a touchdown. 13:50 to go. It's 14-7 Washington State. Ball on the 33-yard line, 1st and 10. Turner back into the game. They hand it to him, and there's a swarm of Cougars coming over the top to get him down. Ram Stevenson and Laufau in there. The defensive line for Washington State has been really, really efficient these last 2 games. Ansel Dinboo, 4.5 sacks. Not in there right now, but 4.5 sacks in the last 2 games. More than his entire career's worth in the last 2. Trips right for Utah State. Ball on the 31. They lost 2 yards. Dump it over to Turner, and he was falling down as he made the catch. That's out to back to where the original line of scrimmage was, and it's a first down to the 33. Well, not a first down. It's a back where the first down and 10 from the 33-yard line.
Yeah, a lot of pressure from McKenna backers in the field.
And that's a play. There was 2 defensive linemen trying to run in, and Dickert calls a timeout, bailing them out. Dinboo was trying to come in, and there was about 14 players on the field, and they luckily get a timeout from Dickert because that would have been a free 5 yards. Utah State didn't sub. I think Washington State thought they subbed. So if the offense subs, the defense has the opportunity to sub anybody they want, and the rest will stop the play. But if they don't, it's fair game, and they can snap it. That's the old Aaron Rodgers play, is get them as they're running off the field.
Yep.
So Peters was doing that, but Dickert just bails the defense out. So 3rd down and 10. We just saw Bryson Barnes run it. The Utah transfer, the pig farmer, ran it. And so now what do you do if you're Utah State? You get a timeout. So now you have another chance to run your best play on 3rd down again. This is 3rd and 10, not 3rd and 7. So what do you do here?
I feel like these are type of the areas where you want to gamble as well, but you got to notice kind of where you are on the field. Bolt right now is on the 33-yard line. So maybe a shot, 15 to either of the sidelines is more of a gamble. a lot more room for error. But like I said, I think exploding the secondary on defense, the front 4 or 5, as well as the backers, have done a great job either adding pressure to Petrus, as well as, tackling either Faison or Turner, some of the running backs, and just really kind of swarming to the ball. But when the ball's kind of in the pocket and kind of swung up to the secondary, it is Achilles heel for the Cougar defense tonight.
A 3rd and 10 is tough too for Utah State without Jalen Royals. We've been talking about that a lot, but he was so key to this team. There hasn't really been the receiver to step up. It was Otto Tia was getting the most targets, and Histero scored the touchdown. But Kahanu Davis out there without a catch on the year. They were targeting him over the middle, and he couldn't catch it. Normally, probably would be a catch if it was one of the other guys, maybe. I mean, Kahanu Davis, great player, but just couldn't make that catch. And sometimes when you're thrust into the game like that and you haven't made a catch all year, the bright lights get to you and you can't concentrate, and it's a play you've made 1,000 times. You just didn't make it. And so on 3rd and 10, I'm curious to see if they do throw it, who they're going to throw it to. It has been nice, like you mentioned, Faison getting back into the game. But he looked kind of slow, honestly, to be honest. When he was picking his way through the defense, he just seems really timid. And I don't know exactly what's going on, but that's a guy that, leading rusher on the team and one of the better guys that's been consistent for them all year. And if he's not consistent, I mean, this is just the luck of Utah State this year.
Exactly.
It's been a pretty rough year, to be honest.
I think another target, if Faison's not the guy, that tight end Josh Sturzer, he's also been a target tonight. It looks to be he's out on the field on the right side as Aggies get ready to line it up at 3rd and 10.
Yeah, they got stack receivers out to the right side, just at the Giesa Field logo. That's where Sturzer is. They also have Grant Page and Kyrese White to the left of Petrus. There's one running back. It's Turner, who is into the game, so no Faison right now. 33-yard line, 3rd and 10. They motion White left to right. Petrus takes the snap. Pressure coming off the middle, and he throws it out to Turner, and he falls down again, but this time couldn't make the catch, and it brings up 4th and 10. So we were talking, what should they do? And then they run a little quick, check down to the running back who's on his rear end there.
Yeah, did not work out. Brings up punting. Hopefully, John Chair and the Cougs can maybe make something happen here as we are still pretty early in the 2nd quarter.
Yeah, Stephen Constantly back to punt. Anthony Freeman back to return, who had a little bit of a mishap last time out against San Diego State. It's a low punt that bounces. It's a Utah State bounce, and it's recovered by Washington State at the Pac-12 logo at the 25-yard line. A dribbler that took a lot of hops. Sometimes those are really tough to field as the football, that oblong shape. And there will be a timeout on the field, but it'll be 1st and 10 for Washington State from the 25-yard line. When we come back, it's 14-7 Washington State, 12:43 to go in the 2nd quarter. You're listening to KUGR, the student voice of the Palouse. Fresh drive for the Cougs on the 25-yard line. Josiah Frank with Davis Hagen. And what do you think Washington State's going to come out and do on this fresh drive with a new set of downs and 75 yards to go for the end zone?
Well, I'm hoping right now, like you mentioned, 75 yards of green turf to hopefully score another touchdown and add to this lead. But I really would hope to see them focusing more on their backfield, talking about these fast, strong running backs. We're talking about Wayshawn Parker. We're talking about Leo Palulasi. We're talking about even Defensi Slembaker. Those guys in the backfield, it looks like Wayshawn Parker, he's kind of dancing in the backfield right now, getting ready to go.
Groovy tunes.
Yeah, exactly. Some good
Whoa.
tunes right now. What's that? Miley Cyrus or something like that?
Something like that.
Something
It's a
like
good
that.
tune. I like it.
But, yeah, focusing on these running backs, and maybe we can chop down on this green turf and hopefully just march down the field.
First down and 10, Washington State. Wayshawn Parker, the running back, off the right hip of Mateer. They motion the receiver from right to left, and it's a handoff to Wayshawn Parker, and he breaks through a few tackles, and Jordan Vincent finally throws him down 9 yards after the original line of scrimmage. It's a gain of 9 and an excellent play from Washington State.
Great pickup by Wayshawn Parker. We were just talking about it. Marches the Cougs a second and short.
Trey Lechner was the man in motion. They also bring in Ganesh Murthy, who has been relatively quiet this season with the pretty solid receiving core for Washington State, especially with Carlos Hernandez coming back into the fold, who had a touchdown in his first 2 games back, and he had the big one against San Diego State. So trips left, one receiver to the right. Mateer goes quickly out left to Ganesh Murthy, and he makes the catch out to the 40-yard line, and it's a first down for Washington State. With 11:57 to go, it's a 14-7 lead. Ganesh Murthy makes the catch and then a little run. They've tried a lot of screens, as we were talking in the first quarter. Getting those players out in space where Utah State seems to struggle with tackling.
Yeah, using those big linemen up front.
Yeah, it's good blocks. If your linemen get in good positioning.
Exactly, left and right. Pole and Kalani and those guys.
Handoff to Parker up the middle, bounces it to the left, and he's out to the 45-yard line for Washington State. They are moving left to right. They're nearly to Utah State territory. It brings up second down and 5. He got half of it. They do a hockey line change and bring in some new players. Same with Utah State's defense. They match the substitution. Kean Sloan coming out, one of their better players on the year. He's got 5 sacks, so they're bringing him out and bringing more of a run-stopping defense in. Gabriel Iniguez, number 10, who stepped in for one of their best defensive tackles going out, Miguel Jackson. So second down and 5. 3 players to the right, and it's a end around to Kyle Williams, a little flip to him in the backfield. He cuts it upfield. He's past the 50-yard line, and he's into Utah State territory.
Devin Kalani, the center from Lake Stevens, Washington, had an amazing block to pick up that huge gain.
Out to the 47-yard line of the Aggies. 14-7 Washington State in front. 10.5 to go in the second quarter. Handoff up the middle. Puluasi gets wrapped up and drives his legs forward. Jordan Vincent was the first Aggie there, and it's out to the 42-yard line. Another gain of 5, so now they're second and about halfway to go from the 42. So Josiah, and it's second and 5. I mean, in second and 1, you can do anything you want, but second and 5, kind of in that similar zone, especially when you have John Mateer that can use his legs.
Yeah. Would love to see if he can maybe take off as well as trips are to the left. You got Chris Hudson out there. Looks like Josh Meredith as well. Maybe we can utilize some of those guys.
They motion Puluasti to the left tip of Mateer. He hands it off to him, and he stumbles forward for a gain of 1 yard. Maybe 2, probably give him 2, out to the 39-yard line. And it's really close to a first down, so it's third and short. They're going to mark it 3rd and 2 from the 39. Still trips left. Trey Lechner and Ganesh Murthy, not out there, but Trey Lechner and Ganesh Murthy, 2 guys that really haven't been used all year, getting some good minutes so far. Kyle Williams alone on the right side with DJ Graham. Do they take a shot on 3rd and come back on 4th? We'll see. 3rd down and 2. Washington State with a 7-point lead. 9:20 to go. Mateer fakes the snap. Looking long for Williams, but he tucks it and run off the left side. He's to the 35, out to the 30, falls forward. And he hits back first at the 30-yard line. Good run from John Mateer to just move the chains.
Yeah, it looked like he kind of stumbled up on his own feet over there. I'll be honest, it looked kind of scary a little bit, but he popped up just good, just like John Mateer.
A little bit of an awkward fall. We saw an awkward fall from Cedric Coward last night, same way, but got up really quick. Mateer looking long, and he dumps it off to Puluasi at the 25-yard line, makes a cut to the outside. Torn Union there to bring him down at the 18-yard line, and Washington State with another first down. So back-to-back first downs, 14-7 Cougars, 8:35 to go. They're going to make some more substitutions, bring in 2 tight ends. Last time they did this, they had the 2 tight ends in there. Ran Mateer and needed a little pop pass that set him at the 1 for the touchdown. So would not be surprised if we saw a little run, but maybe a play action and a shot to Chris Hudson or something. They don't have Williams out there. It's Hernandez and Hudson. Mateer in the gun. Heels on the 24-yard line. Wayshawn Parker, the running back. Turn and hand to Parker off the left side. Cuts it up the middle, and he's wrapped up by Ike Larson. And he's still driving his legs. There's a massive humanity there, and he finally falls down. But that's just how strong Wayshawn Parker is. It takes all 22 players from both teams to take him down.
Yeah, I love the offensive line just kind of pushing through. Pole, Hilborn, Kalani, Faamoe, just trying to push the pile so we can, grab a few more yards.
Making some substitutions. Utah State trying to get fresh bodies in. Kyle Williams comes back in for Washington State. 2 receivers to the right. They got Cooper Mathers out there with Billy Revere. They motion both tight ends, so now they have both tight ends on the left side. Parker to the right, hip of Mateer. Takes a snap. Looking to the end zone. Mateer firing over the middle. Caught, touchdown! Kyle Williams wide open. Nobody around him, and he is riding the horse all the way to Logan, Utah. 20-7 with 7:17 to go. What a statement from Washington State.
A great opportunity, and they just key in on Kyle Williams, scoring a great reception and just chalking up more and more points here at Giesa Field.
John Mateer, no accuracy issues on that throw with a wide open Kyle Williams, his second touchdown of the night. Janikowski to add the extra point. Nick Hauber to hold. Haven't seen him punt tonight. Extra point up and good. 21-7 Washington State. Utah State's offense has been a little slow, so the Cougars have capitalized on that and come up 21-7.
Oh, and it looks to be we have gotten a tip from a close person here at KUGR. It looks to be that a flag that the cheerleaders are holding while this touchdown celebration is happening is Old Crimson. Old Crimson is the flag that is flown at college game day, and it has a consecutive streak where they're up week in and week out, regardless of the location of college game, on to Old Crimson. And those numbers have been fallen officers, those that have connections to Washington State University. So just an amazing tidbit and a little bit of history here that, Old Crimson, a part of, Giesa Field, Martin Stadium, and Pullman, Washington all together. Just an important tradition point here in Pullman. So just really cool to see.
Well, especially on Veterans Day weekend. This is Military Appreciation Night tonight against Utah State. These kind of things are just, really special to be able to still remember the people that have lost their lives doing whatever it is that they've done, and especially police officers that do the, it's really hard to put into words, but police officers do such a good job, and there's a lot of people that are against them, but they do such a good thing in the community, especially keeping people safe. Now, some of them, obviously don't do what the bad represents, but the great ones should be always remembered, and Washington State is doing a great job remembering the fallen officers. 21-7, Washington State has the lead. It's Military Appreciation Night, so thank you, military members. We thank you for your service here at KUGR. It's 21-7 with 7:17 to go in the second quarter. You're listening to KUGR's Student Voice of the Palouse. Kickoff unit out for Washington State. It's a 21-7 lead for the Cougars against Utah State, coming up from Logan, Utah. They're 2-6 on the year and have had a lot of injuries. They have an interim head coach, and things just not necessarily going their way. But for Washington State, a huge opportunity tonight against a team that they should be up 21-7 at this point. They should have a few more points. But regardless, it's 21-7 with 7:17 to go. Janikowski warming up to kick it away. Kyrese White and Herschel Turner back to return for Utah State once again. We saw a crazy situation to start the second quarter with a onside kick and recovered by Janikowski, but there was a illegal contact called and they re-kicked. So Janikowski, another kickoff. This one goes deep and it will go into the end zone about halfway through, and a touchback is called. So Spencer Petrus and the Utah State offense will come out to the 25-yard line once again. It's a 14-point deficit for Utah State. Their offense looked good on one drive so far tonight, but the rest of the night has been kind of dominated by this Washington State defense. Really every single level of the defense getting in the action.
Yeah, kind of curious to see who they utilize in this backfield, if it's Turner, if it's Faison, and I believe it looks to be Faison's going to start out for the Aggies.
Petrus going through the air, and it's caught by Otto Tia. That's about a gain of 7 for Tia. There's Jalen Royals, one of the best receivers in the country, and Tia had a catch. He had a 2-yard touchdown last time out against Wyoming on a flea flicker touchdown. That time just a normal drop back. Hand off to Faison, patiently waiting, and he bounces it to the left side, and he's taken down. That's Tanner Moku, who got the start at safety tonight, taking him down and forcing a 3rd down and short for Utah State.
Yeah, Faison just not able to get going. And, I don't want to say that and wake up the bear.
Yeah.
Just a gain of, nearly nothing for Rashal Faison, who's been able to break away and score on some long drives.
3rd down and short. 21-7 Washington State with 6.5 to go. Petrus making checks at the line. Motioning Faison out to the left hip of him. Play action. Petrus going long, looking for Hystera, and it's incomplete. Latai Mua in coverage, and he didn't even really realize it, but he knocked the ball away with, I think, his hip or something. Either way, it's an incompletion and a 3-and-out for Utah State. And the punting team will come back on.
Great job stopping, even if you did not realize it, stopping a huge reception that would have been for the Aggies and putting them on around the 35 or so. But, now a 3-and-out situation, and they're getting ready to punt.
Punt is away up to the right side. Freeman waiting for it to bounce, and it bounces pretty high. And we'll take another Utah State bounce right around the 25-yard line again, right at the Pac-12 logo. And it's a 1st and 10 for Washington State, 75 yards to go. This offense has been clicking. They can really do whatever they want against this Utah State defense. And Utah, 21-10 over BYU, 9th-ranked BYU, undefeated in the Big 12 and undefeated in regular play with 1:46 to go. The Utes have an 11-point lead on unbeaten BYU, which is a pretty big development in the Big 12, especially with Colorado winning earlier today against Texas Tech.
We'll love to see them lose tonight in Utah, the other Utah school.
Yeah, the major rival to Utah State, so they probably would hate that if we even mentioned them on this broadcast, which we have, so sorry about it. Play action, Mateer. Going to look long for Hudson. It's nearly intercepted by Ike Larson. That was not a good throw from Mateer. It was low and short, and Larson was all over it, but lucky that he didn't turn it over.
Yeah, maybe a millisecond away from being a potential pick 6.
Yeah, he had a lot of room to work with, and he was not going to fall down. So Mateer, 11 of 15 tonight with 127 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's been a good night, but that one would have really changed the mood at Giesa Field. So 2 receivers to each side. Puluasi off the right hip of Mateer from the 25-yard line. Second and 10. And that's an incompletion. Looked like it got knocked away by Bruce at the line for Utah State. It's going to bring up 3rd down and 10. So 2 incompletions and 2 deflections by the Utah State defense.
Kind of looking like the Aggies in the last possession.
Yeah.
The target was for Puluasi. He's going to check out for Schlenbaker. But yeah, now it's bringing up 3rd and long with 2 short plays. Hopefully the Cougs can get something going.
Third down 10, 5:49 to go in the second quarter, 21-7 Washington State. 3rd and 10 from the 25-yard line. Mateer with trips to his right. Checks it underneath to Kyle Williams, got some room to work out to the 30-yard line, cuts it up, and Larson takes him down. He only got about 8 of the 10 that he needed, and it's going to be 4th down, and Washington State probably going to bring on the punt unit, and Haber going to get his first punt of the season. It's been a long process for him to get back, but really nice to see the Anthracite 38 coming out there.
Yeah, I would have loved to maybe pick up some more on that. It looked like he had a lot of green turf, but just cannot get it done, and brings out the punt crew.
They do a motion. They're going to send their blockers back to the backfield to protect the personal protectors for Haber. Clean snap, clean catch, good punt away, and his first one is a nice punt. Davis will let it bounce, and then will dribble out, takes a Utah State bounce towards Cougar territory, but out to the 34, 35-yard line, just about. Nice punt from Haberer to flip the field on his first punt of the season. You think he had any nerves out there? Oh, I just got to catch the ball, catch the ball. Okay, now I can punt it. And I'm sure he's been practicing a lot, obviously, but really nice to get the punter back. Janikowski has been doing it all year. He's done a fine job, but, it's nice to have your,
actual punter.
Yeah, your specialist out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, the special teams for a reason. Petrus and company back out to the 35-yard line. 1st and 10, moving right to left. 4:53 to go, 21-7 Washington State. Motion Hystera right to left. Petrus takes a snap. Clean pocket over the middle. This is caught by Grant Page, and Adrian Wilson blasts him at the 41-yard line. Good gain on first down. That's again a 6. 2nd down and 4 for Utah State. Petrus tonight, before that throw, had 73 yards and a touchdown on 11 of 16 throwing. That'll get him 6 more yards to 79 yards. Trips right. One tight end in. It's Sturzer. Faison, the running back. Quick screen out to Page. Breaks it upfield. Thornton tracks him down and dives and takes him down at about the 50-yard line. So a first down for Utah State with 4:14 to go.
Yeah, right in the middle of the logo, the Cougar logo. Looks like the Aggies are trying to attack and starts to march down the field right now.
Trips right again. This time it's a right out handoff, and Petrus keeps it and slides at the 40-yard line. Good fake from Spencer Petrus. Again, showing off the wheels. Did hurdles in track in high school, but didn't have to jump over anybody that time. Picks up 9. It's where he gave himself up last week, or 2 weeks ago, I suppose, against San Diego State. Mateer did kind of the same thing, but they ended up getting the first down. Hand off to Faison, bounces it to the outside. Stevenson there with Thornton taken down, and does he have enough? And there's a flag on the field. It looks like it might be holding. The initial call from the refs was holding, probably on Utah State, and they might back it up.
Looks like they are. Yeah, that's the first penalty all night.
It's been a really clean game and a really fast half, other than those first 5 seconds of the second quarter where it was a crazy situation with the review. But they are backing them up. 21-7 Washington State, trying to stop Utah State from inching a little bit closer right before the half with 3.5 minutes to go. If they can get a stop, they have plenty of time to go down and score.
Stadium here at Giesa Field tonight. Semi-packed right now. Quite a few students, not the full student section, but you'll love to see them showing out at this night game on Saturday. 2nd
down and 11. Petrus going to the air, fires it out to Hystera, and that was low between his legs, and it's incomplete. Steve Hall in coverage. 3rd down and 11 being brought up, and Utah State not thriving in 3rd down situations this year. 36%. They're coming into this game, they were 44 for 120. Not great. Things are stacked against them.
Yeah, rough for sure. And I think that was just a age-old testament that they're not amazing on 3rd down conversions. Yeah.
3rd down and 11. They were in Cougar territory. Now they're not. Hystera motions out to the left. Petrus takes the snap. Play action to Faison. Looking long. Pressure coming. And he steps away from the pressure initially and throws it away and out of bounds. Incomplete. Great pressure put on by Washington State's defensive line, but Petrus able to escape somehow. He's elusive. slippery player.
Yeah, the big Andrew Edison, 6'3", 250 senior. He was definitely adding a ton of pressure as Peters was just trying to scramble and get away from him, but had to throw it out of bounds indefinitely.
Constantly back out to punt for Utah State. His heels are on the 35-yard line. 4th down and 11 for Utah State. 3:03 to go, so only 30 seconds came off the clock. And it's a fake punt pass over the middle, and it's knocked away and incomplete. And there's a flag flying in from the back judge. After the play was over, he threw it, but it's probably going to be pass interference. There was a lot of contact, so constantly throws a fake punt over the middle to Jack Hystera. What a crazy play from Utah State to try to keep the ball. And they might just do it.
Yeah, it looked to be a lot of contact on the Washington State defense, sadly. It looks to be maybe the main Tanner Moku, the DB. He looked to...
Exactly. Tanner Moku with the pass interference. Great call. But a little bit disappointing, but sometimes it just catches you off guard. And Tanner Moku getting the start tonight, he's made a lot of great plays, but he was really early. Didn't even play the ball at all. In the replay, it shows that he's just grabbing Hystera around the waist. So probably the right call from the referees. Dickert's not happy about it, but a tricky call from Nate Drilling, trying to make some noise. They have nothing to lose in this game. They're 2-6 coming into Washington State, trying to play spoiler. So under 3 minutes to go from the 36-yard line, Utah State with another opportunity to try to cut this game even closer. Here comes a reverse, and it's all the way around to Kyrese White. And there's nowhere to go, and they're going to lose yards. They lose 1 yard. What a job by the defense from Washington State staying home on a trick play.
Yeah, you love to see them just kind of compose themselves. Last play might not have been really happy with themselves, but, just able to have a very quick memory and just get right back into this ballgame.
3 receivers to the right. One of them is the tight end Sturzer. Peters looks to his left, but he dumps it off to Kyrese White, and Thornton tracks him down at the 30, maybe 29, 31-yard line, right around that area, and it's second down, brings up third down there. Third down, Washington State defense has been good this night. It's been interesting to see if they bring pressure. Sometimes they brought it, and Peters has been able to slip away. They haven't had a sack all night.
Yeah, you would love to see that pressure from the defensive line. It looks to be there's going to be a timeout.
Yeah, the 2-minute timeout. So Utah State once again on third, have a timeout opportunity to look things over. Wouldn't see, but he ran a play on 3rd and 7 earlier in this quarter for a first down. He's been kind of their running quarterback. They bring him in these kind of situations. But so that fake punt, what do you think went wrong for Washington State? Do you think they just got caught sleeping, or just a bad break on the ball?
Well, I think not only the Cougar defense, but a lot of us kind of got caught sleeping. Right now we have a kind of on a comfortable lead, but, a fine lead, 21-7 right now. And I think expecting just, the normalcy of football sometimes, just kind of stereotyping that there's just going to be a punt. And there wasn't. Got caught sleeping, and then not being able to make a play on the ball not only, gives up that penalty, but allows them to get closer to the red zone of Washington State. So, yeah, just always have to be on your toes. We had that onside kick. They're trying to fake punt. So there might be a lot of trickery, especially in the second half as we near the end of the first.
Spencer Petras is the leading rusher tonight for Utah State with 2 attempts and 18 yards, which is probably not the best thing for them. If you kind of want your running backs to take over that area, unless it's John Mateer for the Cougs, who is the running quarterback.
Yeah.
But Petras being the leading rusher,
that's probably
it's fascinating.
Yeah, exactly. Mateer, being like you said, the rushing leader, that makes a ton of sense. That's his type of style. He has the wheels to do it. Petras, he can scramble, he can move, but compared to people like Faison and Turner Jr., they do have guys. So, I don't know. Hopefully they can try to utilize them more and, try to scheme up some plays kind of around them.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, and I don't know, obviously you don't know either, but if you were the offensive coordinator for Utah State, what would you run on 3rd down and 5? Third downs have been interesting so far this year and in this game, but what would you pull out?
Well, I've noticed a lot this quarter. Turner Jr. hasn't been utilized as much as he was in the first quarter. He had some really nice gains. He actually had a couple series of first downs. So I feel like 3rd and 5, I'd say just run it, down their throat football. Try to have motion something, maybe switch him from the left to right hip and just try to run it down for 5 yards.
Offense back out. Spencer Petras has a running back to his right, and it's Turner. So they go away from Faison and they go to Turner, who's kind of been the featured back tonight. 3rd down and 5, 21-7 Washington State with 2 minutes to go. They motion White in a short hop step to the left. Petras looking his way, and he got it to him. It's a first down for the Aggies. Nice play from Kyrese White with an out route, and Petras hits him in stride. It's the 3rd catch of the night for Kyrese White.
Yeah, and kind of a different approach there, attacking some of those receivers as they have trips left now. They have utilizing their weapons that they have. Petras doing a great job of just connecting, and now they have 1st and 10 now.
From the 24-yard line, trips left. Petras, straight drop back, clean pocket, looking long towards the end zone, and it's intercepted. Kapena Gushikin gets the pick, and he runs over a man at the 14-yard line. Kapena Gushikin, what can't you do?
An amazing interception by Gushikin, and it brings up a huge momentum shift for the Cougars.
First turnover of the night, and Petras had a man behind him, but he underthrew it, and he threw it right to Kapena Gushikin. This defense has been timely with the turnovers all year. Buda Alukta last week got a big interception against San Diego State, which kind of set up the game-winning drive, essentially. And again, here, Utah State moving the ball. They do the fake punt. They get the penalty. They're going. And then Kapena Gushikin just takes that all away with one fell swoop. So 1st and 10 from the 13-yard line. Washington State 21, Utah State 7 with 1:46 to go. 2 receivers to each side. Parker to the left hip of Mateer. They hand it off to Wayshawn Parker, and he stumbles forward for a few. Vincent there to take him down. Wayshawn Parker, the leading rusher tonight for Washington State. 8 carries, 44 yards, and a touchdown. 2 receivers each side. It's the same formation. Snap to Mateer, looking left, comes back to his right, scrambles at the 10-yard line, jukes out a defender but falls down. Good job from John Mateer to not turn that over. There was nothing downfield, so he just tucks it, but he got tripped up, and Utah State looks like they want to call a timeout, and they do. So Utah State calls their 2nd timeout of the half. They're going to have 1 more to go, so they're trying to get the ball back and go down the field. They think they have something on the defense that maybe Petras just made a mistake there, and they know that they've got something cooking.
Yeah, if you're looking at the Cougar offense right now, you really, we're in kind of a not so great area of the field right now, positioning wise. Definitely would not love maybe a 3-and-out situation that with a great punt puts them on the 40 or 50 or so. They take a couple shots. Petras, like any other quarterback, has an arm, and maybe they can attack maybe what they saw with Gushikin's interception. So would love to move the chains a little bit further so that we can push them back even further if we do have to punt. Or pick up that 1st and down.
3rd down and 9. Washington State has a 14-point lead, 1:13 to go. Motions Mathers tackle. Still an empty set for Mateer on 3rd and 9. Takes a snap, looks quickly out left, gets it away, and that's Meredith with the catch. Falls forward, but not quite enough for the 1st down. J.D. Drew was there to take him down for Utah State, and a good stop. And they hold up their fists for the 4th down, and it'll be a punt. And hopefully Haberer will be able to flip the field for the Cougs fans, but also for Utah State. Good job with a sudden change coming out there on defense to be able to get the stop. They call their final timeout of the half to save the 1:05 on the clock. This offense can move the ball, but like we were talking about in the first quarter before the game started, this offense gets a lot of yards, but not a lot of points to show for it. They only average around 27, 28 points a game. but they have almost 500 yards a game.
Yeah. I mean, just an amazing note of the Aggies right now having that minute and a half, a minute and 5 seconds to maybe make some magic here as they get back to go on the field. But, trying to make something happen here has a long punt for Janikowski,
For Hopper.
Hopper.
Yeah.
Hopper back up for the punt team. So, maybe something could happen for the Aggies before the end of this half. A minute and 5 seconds is still a good deal of time.
Keanu Davis back to return, 5'10", 180. He spent 2 years at Southwestern College in Chula Vista, California, right down by San Diego. This punt high, spiraling kick, and it's fair, caught by Davis at the 30-yard line. Another good punt from Haber, and that's a luxury to have a great punter come back in these last 4 games of the season, especially when Washington State needs every break they can get down the stretch against some of these teams like Utah State, New Mexico, Oregon State, Wyoming that haven't had the greatest seasons. These are the teams that can kind of nip you right as you're heading to the finish line. They come out of the bushes and snag you and take you away, and you don't cross the finish line. But Washington State has done a good job asserting themselves in this game. Utah State will have 58 seconds to go from the 30-yard line. They got 70 yards to go right to left. Stack receivers to both sides at the 30-yard line. Handoff up the middle to Turner, and there's nobody home for Washington State until Wilson picks him up a few yards down the field, about 10 to 15, and Tyson Durant is down. The trainers come running out to him. The ball's on the 45. It was a 15-yard gain from Turner, but the concern is with Durant, and Wilson is also down, kind of squatting on the field on the other side. They're asking him if he needs to come off too, but Durant is the main concern, hasn't really moved. It was a good run from Turner right up the middle. Tyson Durant laying on the field.
You hate to see that. I looked at the play sheet to hopefully think it wasn't Tyson Durant, one of those big guys, key players in the backfield, It looks like he's shaking up pretty bad, holding some type of leg, knee, something of that sort. And you hate to see that because as a defensive back, you need those legs to hopefully defend receivers. Or just like Turner Jr. making that big play. But it looks to be he's stumbling up.
They help him up, and Tyson Durant doesn't look comfortable out there. The training staff helping him off the field. One of the better players for Washington State this season. He's got the green dot, which is the helmet communications from the defensive coordinator straight into his helmet. And one of the leaders on the team, the Akron transfer for this Washington State defense that is the bend but don't break. They can't afford to lose anybody. And Durant, they've been really lucky this year with the injuries Washington State has. Not so much for Utah State, but he goes out, and in his place, Jackson Latayamua will come out. Adrian Wilson out there, Steve Hall, Ethan O'Connor. The secondary for Washington State getting thinner. Handoff to Turner, cuts it up the middle, crossing into Cougar territory past the 50-yard line. And interesting that they're running the ball with no timeouts. They're keeping the receivers wide, kind of just catching Washington State off guard. 2nd down and 3 from the 48-yard line of Washington State. Petrus under pressure, steps forward, and it's incomplete through the hands of Turner. Tried to check it down again, and that's 3 times that Turner's been targeted and 3 times that he ends up on the ground when the ball's thrown to him.
Yeah, the true freshman Turner has really taken a tack here as we have about 25 seconds left in the second. Turner Jr., like I mentioned before, was a huge target in the first quarter, and it looks like they're going back to him, and it is working, but just running out of time for the Aggies.
25 seconds to go. 3rd down and 3. Trips to the right. Petrus and Turner in the backfield. Play action. Petrus over the middle. Nearly intercepted by Latayamua. He was looking for Will Money, but he didn't have anything in the bank. And it's 4th down and 3. 20 seconds to go. They're going to bring the punt unit on. We'll see if they actually punt it this time.
Yeah, we can maybe see some more trickery and see if they want to fake it. 4th and short, so definitely not in a possible scenario.
There is nobody back for Washington State. They have a regular defensive formation, and they're matched up on all of the receivers as if they're expecting a fake. This time it's a punt, and it's heading towards the end zone. End-over-end kick will bounce into the end zone at the state of the Washington State S in the end zone. And Washington State will come out at the 20-yard line. So 21-7 with 12 seconds to go. They could just take a knee and head to half. They have 2 timeouts to work with. They play it safe and just take a knee, go in with the lead, or they try to get one more. It looks like they're probably going to come out and go with the halftime formation. Not quite the victory formation yet. It's 21-7. Mateer will take the snap and just take a knee, and they'll head to the half with a 14-point lead, and his knee hits the ground. The whistle is blown. Time running off the clock, and the teams will head to the locker room. Good first half from Washington State. It's 21-7. Josiah, what just an overall thought on that first half? Good start from Washington State, but should they be up by more?
I think so. I think Washington State, something that they really need to focus on is just taking all of the opportunities that come to them. I think they did a great job, and there was a lot of successes. But, something big like an interception or maybe a near interception on Mateer's part, we've kind of had some lucky breaks. So hopefully in the second half, really just kind of keying in on what we're good at, targeting the people that, have been successful in the past and throughout the season, and really kind of focusing on them and not just kind of lucking off of these kind of lucky breaks that we've gotten on.
We'll go down to Dominic for more on the Durant injury. Dominic, what do you got for us?
Durant walked off the field on his own power, was carried by 2 of the staff members. He actually skipped the train and went straight into the tunnel. Appeared to be walking fine, maybe a head injury. Not entirely sure what the injury entails yet, but he just went straight to the tunnel, and we'll find out more when we get a chance.
Thanks so much, Dominic. So interesting that Durant just head straight to the locker room. Now, there was only about 12 seconds left in the half when that happened, so probably just, precaution instead of going to the tent and just going straight into the locker room and meeting the rest of the team in there. But you hope that he's okay. Not the end of the half that they were expecting necessarily, but a good end to the half. So, Josiah, any last thoughts before we head to the halftime break and then come back for the second half? It's 21-7 Washington State.
Yeah, the only thing I would love to see is just extending this lead. Love to see Tyson Durant be okay. But yeah, just kind of extending this lead here at this kind of game under the lights here at Gisa Field. But yeah, just can't wait for the second half.
21-7 Washington State at the half. You're listening to KUGR, the student voice of the Palouse.
We are back here in Giesa Field, and we're about to get started with the second half. Josiah Frank, I'm here with the Davis Hagen. We're back here to start this third quarter. The Cougs lead right now 21-7. And Davis, what are you expecting to see maybe a little differently in the second half?
Well, I think for Utah State, that was not the best first half, but I think for them coming back into the second half, they had momentum going before Petrus threw that interception. That was their second best drive of the night. The first one was the touchdown to Estera. I think they've developed a rhythm if they can just run the football more. Petrus being their leading rusher late in that second quarter is not exactly where they want to be, but they've started to develop a rhythm. And for Washington State, I would expect maybe some more pressure. They don't have any sacks tonight against Spencer Petrus, I consider him a slippery guy, but some others might not. And he hasn't been brought down all night, and he's been getting the ball out pretty quick, but he's got happy feet in the pocket. So there should be some opportunities for pressure. They brought the pressure against Hawaii, and that really disrupted Braden Shager for the Rainbow Warriors. But tonight against Petrus, I think if you pressure him, you're going to get some good results.
I was going to make a joke. He's about as slippery as Lamar Jackson, but
maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
First half, yeah,
that first half. I don't know. Sometimes, looks like he's on the track rubber trying to hurdle or something like that.
Yeah.
The Cougs will be out to receive for the start of the third quarter as we are counting down. Looks to be the crowd has started to dwindle a little bit here at Martin Stadium. Sadly, kind of a common trait that kind of happens at the games. It is cold. It's around 42 degrees here in Pullman tonight. And it looks to be Cragen's going to kick off to the Cougs. It's going to be a touchback. It's going to bring out the John Mateer and the Washington State Cougar offense.
An interesting development around the college football world is that Pittsburgh University lost to Virginia. So the Pitt Panthers, they were ranked number 18 in the country, fall again. And not a great look for them, but great for the Cougars. They're right in front of them at 18. Cougars are 21. That's a great loss for the Washington State Cougars.
Mateer. And it looks to be he's in the back pocket. Mather's in motions, but he's going to hand it off to Wayshawn Parker. Wayshawn Parker's going to go off. Wayshawn Parker's to the 50, to the 40, 30, 20. No one is going to catch him. Wayshawn Parker, touchdown, Washington State. an amazing nearly 80-yard rush touchdown from the running back, Wayshawn Parker.
His ability to hit the second level is unlike any freshman I've ever seen. Absolutely electric player, Wayshawn Parker, back in stride. We haven't seen a big play from him in a few weeks, but what a thunderbolt through this crowd that's still here.
Mateer holding for the extra point. Janikowski getting ready to kick. Janikowski's kick up through the double uprights, and it is good. The Cougs now lead 28-7 and extend to a more comfortable lead with that huge breakaway rush from Wayshawn Parker.
Touchdown number 4 on the night and only 11 seconds into the third quarter. An absolute statement by Washington State coming out of the tunnel and just punching Utah State right in the face.
You love to see Washington State trying to rack up this lead and hopefully extend it even further. I mean, I know we just talked about that Pittsburgh loss. Talking about college football kind of rankings, Pittsburgh losing, us winning, BYU still down right now against the 4-4 Utah Utes, the rival to the Aggies, 21-10, 11 minutes left in the third. We're talking about these losses, maybe allowing this chance, maybe the Cougars can try to start to slip in there and maybe move up the rankings a little bit.
Well, looking at it from a neutral perspective, 28-7 is a good lead, but if they can get it up to 42-7 or something like that, that's, the style points, as they say, kind of do matter when it's a committee looking at teams with 1 or 2 losses. And Washington State has a tight win against San Diego State, a tight win against San Jose State, and if they can blow out Hawaii and Utah State and maybe on with New Mexico and Wyoming, the Oregon State game will probably be a tight one. But winning matters, but also how you win kind of matters, especially when it comes down to the narrowness of these teams that are going to be left with that like 13 through 15, which is probably right around where Washington State will be with that 1 loss or 2 losses. It'll be really fascinating to see down the stretch how much respect Washington State gets from the committee, because right now they have them at 21. But how high will they climb if they continue to hold this lead and all these teams losing in front of them? Kansas State, the other team that's kind of in front of them but on a bye right now, won't be playing tonight to have the chance to lose. But there's been a lot of good things happening for Washington State.
Yeah, you really want a win at home. It's a must-win, first off. But after getting the win, you want to try to add those style points, as you were mentioning, and really try to rack up the score so this committee can see that, other games. We talked about Alabama blasting LSU at home in Louisiana, 42-6, some other games like that. So, we would love to see another performance like that, a 42-7 here at Gisa Field, as Janikowski and the kickoff crew are going to kick off to the Utah State Aggies in their all-white. 28-7 here, 14:49 in the third quarter. It has just started, and again, if you're just listening with us, a huge 80-plus yard rush from Wayshawn Parker to put the Cougs back on the board and chalk them up to 28 points, 28-7. WSU leads as Janikowski is getting ready for the kickoff. And the kick is kind of a low squib kick, but it's going to be a touchback. It's going to hit the A on Washington on the Washington State end zone.
Good kick again from Janikowski, who earlier in the year was doing all the things for Washington State. He was punting, he was kicking off, he was kicking the field goals, but now Haber being back, he can kind of focus on his traditional kicking motion once again instead of that punt motion.
Yeah, it looks to be that broken hand, not bothering him
at
all.
Not at all.
It looks like he's doing just fine.
Yeah, great timing for the broken hand to have his buddy back.
And, of course, for a kicker, that's probably the best injury you could have.
Right, yes.
Petrus in the backfield. He's going to hand off to Turner. Turner's going to rush through the middle of the pack and pick up around 6.
Good tackle from Alukta, who has been relatively quiet tonight, but getting a good tackle there and stopping him from getting that first down. He was like the lone man in defense. There was a lot of people up in the box, but not a lot of people behind him.
Petrus drops back and swings it over to Page. Grant Page is going to pick up 2. He looks to be a little upset. I don't know if he's looking at coaching or sideline or something like that, but he's still kind of chirping, bringing up 3rd and 2. And it looks to be we just have a mention that the 75 yards is the longest WSU touchdown run since Chris Ivory back in 2006 versus University of Idaho. U of I, the Battle of the Palouse, and that was a huge drive for Wayshawn Parker. And it looks to be the snap was taken by Turner. It looked like Petrus didn't even know the ball got snapped. WSU was motioning that they maybe had the football, but he was definitely down. Going to bring up 4th and 1 for the Aggies. Petrus under center, handoff to Turner. He's going to be tackled, and it looks to be no good. Petrus is motioning that they got the first down. WSU saying he's short. It's going to be close. They might have to bring out the chains. No signal yet from the officials. They're still talking it over.
He got stood up, but that second effort got him really close to the line, and Al-Ukta flew in to try to stop him from rolling over on all those bodies. Both of the side judges looked like they were coming in right at the line to gain.
And they're going to call it a first down. Lots of boos here at Giesa Field. It's going to bring up 1st and 10 for the Aggies.
It was really, really close, and I do think he probably got there on the second effort. Just a good run by Turner, who's kind of been their feature back tonight.
Yeah, and it looks like he got that snap before that fourth down conversion. But it looks to be the officials are going to review it, which I think is a good call. I believe that he could have been short, or at least maybe the spotting of the football could maybe have the chains be brought out, but
yeah, and
I don't know if it was definitive.
They were showing the replay with Al-Ukta coming up with the ball, so that could be another factor. I think he was reaching the ball over, and Al-Ukta knocked the ball out of his hand as he was still. It looks like he's still upright. I don't know. They didn't call a fumble on the field. It is a clear recovery from Washington State, so I'm really curious. This is another challenging replay for this crew that has had a few big moments tonight, even though it is only 28-7 Washington State. They've had a big impact in this game.
Yeah, that could be even a more deciding play within this football game. You know, the momentum with WSU after that huge 75-yard touchdown that broke a record. A play like this that maybe even getting the ball back or, moving it back to they did not convert on the 4th down could really shift the momentum even in a grander regard for the Washington State Cougars.
Especially when Utah State, you mentioned giving up that 75-yard touchdown, but they need the first down. They have to get this ball in the end zone on this drive to make this game manageable. They only have 1 touchdown so far tonight, and they've had some decent drives, but they can't put it all together. It seems that's kind of been their Achilles heel all year is they have good moments, but they can't put anything together for consecutive plays in a row. And on this one on 4th down, they went really quick. They did a direct snap to the running back before on 3rd down, got it to 4th and 1, ran a play, and they've had a few times tonight where they've got that 3rd down timeout and then got a chance to look things over. I wonder if they would have rather had the opportunity to slow things down and get a play that they maybe felt more confident in, because this one seemed kind of rushed.
It seemed rushed indeed, and you just mentioned it. It kind of seemed like, and it looks like we're going to get the official statement from the officials, the review. The head official, John Love, having some issues with the mic.
After review, the runner's progress was not stopped. He did reach the ball forward. It was taken away by the Washington State defender. It is a fumble.
And it's going to be a fumble from Utah State, recovered by Washington State, and it will be Cougar football on the 35, 30, somewhere around there.
That was the almost initial reaction from myself, and I think that Al-Ukta came up with the football. You mentioned that they were pointing that they had the ball, and then on review, he was still laying on top of all the bodies, and they said his forward progress wasn't stopped, so a huge break for Washington State.
Yeah, Buda Al-Ukta coming up with a great play. Going to put the Cougs on the 34-yard line. Mateer, shotgun formations. Mather's in motion. He's going to toss it out to Wayshawn Parker, who's going to pick up 2. Wayshawn Parker again having that big run. Going to bring up 2nd and 9.
Wayshawn Parker had that 75-yard touchdown to start. Oh, man, I think Roderick De La Vega was just rolling on the ground somehow. Oh, my gosh.
Trips left. Palula Lassi in for Parker. He's going to turn out to be a eligible receiver. Mateer now under center. Takes the snap, goes to the left. Chris Hudson's going to swing it over to Mathers, but it will be overthrown. It was a nice little lateral to Chris Hudson, but there is a penalty on the play as well.
Yeah, a little trick play, double pass to Chris Hudson, who got absolutely obliterated by DJ Graham. And I wonder if they may review this for potential targeting. That's probably a personal foul. He absolutely crushed him. He was parallel to the ground at a point. And so they will call roughing the passer, which is odd because he's a receiver,
Right,
but he was the throwing player.
A little pinball action. Mateer to Hudson. Hudson overthrows it to Mathers, but ultimately gets the penalty on roughing the passer. Now Mateer and the Cougar O are on the 19-yard line, 1st and 10. Lot of green grass and a fresh set of downs. Mateer, Parker in motion. Mateer's going to take it. He's going to run it off. Mateer is going to be stopped at the 15. Brings up 2nd and 5.
Really like the play call just to continue to have some eye candy for Utah State. They have a lot of motions. That's what the offense does. In Utah State, this thin defense, a lot of these players been backups to start the year, but they've not been able to really keep their eyes on the ball. They've been distracted by a lot of motion tonight.
Trips right. Mateer dropping back, looking to his right. He's going to scramble out of the pocket, but ultimately is taken down by the big Sam linebacker, Bronson Olavo, and going to bring up 3rd and long.
They 3rd and long for Washington State seems to be a little more promising than Utah State. They seem to have a little better playmakers on the outside and just more confidence in Mateer to make plays with his legs.
Mateer in shotgun formation. He's going to look to his right. He's going to scramble. He's going to scramble, but tries to make another man miss, but going to be taken down. It will be 4th down for the Cougars, and it looks to be the kicking team will try for the first field goal of the night.
It looked like Kean Sloan, the defensive end for Utah State, in on the action. He leads the team in sacks, and another one there. Mateer, the first quarterback to get sacked tonight, which is probably not what we were thinking when we were coming into this game. Petrus not nearly as mobile as Mateer, but it is John that goes down first.
Janikowski gets ready for the field goal. Mateer holding. Snap good, hold good. Kick is no good. It will be left. And Janikowski with his first field goal attempt of the night will be no good.
Been a up and down season for him kicking. Just not as accurate as he has been in past years. And something really interesting to me is the holder on these plays when he's missed it has been John Mateer. But now Haber getting back into the fold. You think Mateer had some issues early in the season with the holds, and he wasn't getting the laces out in time, so he was kicking the laces, and it was causing it to go all squirrely. That play against San Jose State where he kicked it, and it just went like it dogleg left immediately. That was on the holder. But this time, Haber, the normal holder, comes back. But you almost think Mateer got into a rhythm with 8 games being played before Haber got back into the lineup. Now it's different again. So Janikowski has had a really inconsistent season with the players he's been playing with and the positions he's had to play. And I just wonder if it's the holder at this point or if Janikowski just needs to adjust something he's doing, because he's missed a lot of kicks this year, which is uncharacteristic of a kicker of his caliber.
He has indeed, and we would love to see him try to figure it out, as well as the entire special teams crew. Another update from the college football world. If you have access to ESPN, there is a pretty good game going on right now. The Utah Utes still up against undefeated BYU, 8-0. They're 9th in the nation, and they are down right now 21-13. A couple minutes left in third quarter. We're getting some kind of commercial access. But, yeah, a great game to check in on, and we would love to see for the Washington State side to see Utah at home beating BYU, who's undefeated this season. Utah, yes, 21-13, 8-10 left in the third quarter. So we'd love to see, a win like that on ESPN right now. Be great to, maybe listen to us and also watch that. Check a little bit of both out.
Yep.
Pop some popcorn or something.
Ooh, popcorn. Yum.
Popcorn sounds amazing. But right back here in Giesa Field, still a 28-7 ball game. 10:48 left in the third quarter. We're going to take a hot second break. You are listening to KUGR. And we are right back here at Giesa Field at Martin Stadium on this cold, chilly night here in Pullman, Washington, back in the Palouse. The Aggies of Utah State are going to start their second half drive as Petrus fakes a handoff, is going to be tackled in the pocket. He had an attendant receiver. It looks to be Josh Sturzer, the tight end, was the target. But he was going to be hit very close for maybe a roughing the passer type of penalty, bringing up 2nd and 10.
Nusi Milani, big 15 for Washington State, brought the pressure, hit Petrus as he was trying to throw it, and that really took him off his target area of the receiver.
Turner to Petrus' right, motioning something to the line. Trips to his left. He's going to fake the handoff to Turner. Target pass to...
Tia.
Otto Tia, the wide receiver who's had a lot of touches tonight.
Flag behind the play, too. Probably holding on the offensive line.
And it looks to be coming back.
Dinboo's dancing because he's been a wrecking ball these last few games, and so the only way to stop him is to hold.
Yeah, and there was a hold. A lot of pressure. The play before that play right there. Gushikin trying to do a good job of battling on defense as a cornerback against Otto Tia, but luckily that penalty is going to bring the Utah State offense back to the 13-yard line, bringing up 2nd and really long, 2nd and about 17 or so, 2nd and 20. Petrus motioning out Turner. He's alone in the pocket, a little bit more pressure, drop ball by Sturzer.
Another good pressure being put on, and we talked about this to come into the second half was pressure on Petrus, and he's been flustered so far in this third quarter, not seeing things well, and definitely missing Jalen Royals at this point.
Third down chant here in Giesa Field, the little gator chomp that the Cougar Marching Band plays. 3rd and 20. WSU leading 28-7. 10 minutes left in this third quarter. Petrus for the Utah State Aggies in the backfield. He's dropping back, looking over to the left. A lot of pressure. He's going to swing it out to Turner. Turner's going to pick up maybe 5 or so. Ultimately brought down by a flurry of Gray. Going to bring up 4th and a ton.
Great pursuit from Washington State's defense. They got it to Turner, but he had nowhere to go because there was so many Cougars around him. The punt team will come back out, but this has been a interesting place for the punt team. They ran a fake earlier in this game. Wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of trickery. Utah State with nothing to lose in this game and 21 points to make up.
The punt crew for Utah State out. It looks to be Hernandez is back there receiving for the punt. High punt, but it will be short around the 35-yard line. Hernandez fair catches it, and that's going to bring back out the Cougar offense.
Cougar offense been humming so far in this second half. That 75-yard touchdown by Wayshawn Parker was a really good jolt of energy through this team. And then they've had some other big plays, but the missed field goal last time out, that was kind of a drive that got stalled, but I would fully expect this Cougar offense to come out and really be able to move the ball against this really struggling Utah State defense.
Yeah, you would have loved to see that 30 or 40-yard field goal try go through the uprights, but unfortunately unsuccessful. Mateer and the Cougar O. Ball on the 35. Mateer's first drive, handoff. Wayshawn Parker. Wayshawn Parker, is he going to repeat? Wayshawn Parker out to the 40, and another huge drive for Wayshawn Parker. Going to pick up around 30 yards as the Cougars now ball on the 40 or so, 36-yard line.
There's such a burst when he gets the ball, and there's a little bit of light, he's going to take it.
Mateer by himself in the pocket. Pressure. He's trying to escape. He's going to sling it out to Chris Hudson. Chris Hudson makes a man miss. Makes another miss. Tries to spin move. Ball comes out, but the Cougars going to fall on it.
Good job by Lechner getting on that. The third string tight end coming into tonight, but he's made some crucial plays.
Yeah, Lechner really trying to get out there. The Snohomish native on a very dicey play as Hudson picks up a good amount of yards, but the ball just pops out. I formation for the Cougs, Palula Lossie, and for Parker as running back. Directly behind Mateer. Mateer in gun formation. Williams to his left, Hernandez to his right. He's going to hand it off to Palula Lossie. Lossie's going to make it. He's going to cut up, and he's going to ultimately be brought down around the 2-yard line. A huge run for Palula Lossie. Parker on one end, Palula Lossie on the other. Two running backs for the Cougars, and it's going to bring up 1st and goal.
Cougar offense getting anything they want at this point. It doesn't matter if they're throwing it or running it. They're getting chunk plays, and this Utah State defense has hands on the hips, and they're just begging them to score so they can get off the field.
Mateer, Palula Lossie to his left hip. Lechner also in the backfield. Mateer, gun formation. Williams is motioning. Mateer's going to hand it off and go for it. It looks like he's going to be short. He tried to rush for about 1.5 yards. And looks to be he's going to be maybe, I don't know, half the distance to the goal or so.
Mateer kind of got rocked on that play. Yeah, took a really big hit, and he didn't even get into the end zone. They bring in their double tight end formation, about half a yard to go.
Mateer under center. Mathers behind him in an I formation. Ball at about the half-yard line. Mateer hands off to Schlembaker. Schlembaker, ball might have popped out, but it looked to be he was short of the end zone. Cougs might have fallen on that as well.
Schlembaker did not get into the end zone, but the ball kind of popped out. And
rolling on the field as if the runner was down. 3rd down.
Runner was down. Now bringing up 3rd and goal. Still very short to the end zone. Needing just 1 yard or so. Actually less, about 2/3 of a yard. Just a couple feet to get into the end zone to extend the lead for the WSU Cougars. Mateer in gun formation. Palula Lossie to his right. Mathers also in the backfield. Motioning Williams. Mateer's going to sneak it to himself. And it looks like he will be brought in. The crowd thinks he's got it. And it is a touchdown from the officials. Touchdown, John Mateer rushes his own touchdown for about 1 yard or so. It's going to bring out 34-7 WSU.
Great effort from Mateer. Never gave up on the play. Kind of backed himself into the end zone. He's been bouncing off players all night, and we mentioned it in the first half, these Utah State players not wrapping up. And if they would wrap up Mateer, he might not be in the end zone. but they just kind of lunge themselves at him with their shoulder, and that's not an effective way of tackling anybody, let alone John Mateer, who is extremely elusive.
You would maybe hope to think that Utah State, playing some, really good teams, we talk about Boise State, playing us, maybe they would, try to learn as Janikowski is getting ready for the extra point. Hopefully getting the jitters off of that missed field goal a possession ago. Hold good, kick through the uprights. Bring up 35-7 now. 5:52 left in the third quarter. And Davis, what did you really enjoy on that kind of march down drive to the 1 yard line? There was a little bit of stoppage, kind of hard to get into the end zone, but ultimately Mateer, has that sneak. But what did you really like during that entire drive?
I really liked that there was a lot of balance. They threw it a few times, they ran it a few times, but every time they did run a play, they were getting good chunk yards, and they are realizing that this Utah State defense can't keep up with them, and they know anything they do is going to work. And so Wayshawn Parker has started to wear down the defense. The stack six, the defensive ends, the defensive tackles, and the linebackers are starting to get tired of seeing 21 run through the middle, because they are tired, and Wayshawn Parker is not. And he is just burning them time and time again. And so I really like the balance from Washington State, and I think Utah State's just in a tough situation.
I really wanted to reiterate that WSU record from Wayshawn Parker. It was not on that drive, but he did have another very long rush of 30-plus yards. But the previous touchdown to start off the third quarter, a 75-yard touchdown, WSU's longest TD since Chris Ivory against U of I, the University of Idaho Vandals, in 2006. So just like I said, mentioning the versatility as well as talent from the backfield for the Washington State offense. We're going to take a tiny little break here as the WSU football crew is honoring some more members of our armed forces because it is Veterans Day on Monday. But we're going to take a short break, and we will be right with you. You are listening to Cougar Football here on KUGR. The Washington State Cougars leading over the Utah State Aggies, 35-7. A little score update from the college football world. 21-13, end of the third quarter. 21 Utah, BYU down 13. The end of the third there in Utah, the rival of the Utah State Aggies. Utah Utes still leading over the commanding BYU football team. They're ranked 9th in the nation as Janikowski's going to kick it off. It will be a touchback on the S of the end zone, and that's going to bring out Petrus and the Aggie offense.
It hasn't been a good third quarter for Utah State. It was a better first quarter when the score was 0-0, and then that's when the game starts. So now they're down 35-7 in almost desperation mode. The comeback probably unlikely, but you never say die in college football, especially late night Palouse football.
We have seen some thrillers here at Gisa Field, especially even this season, talking about San Jose State and some others, as Petrus is alone in the backfield. He's going to drop off, and he's going to swing over to the receiver, to number 23, That looks to be Kyrie's White, the main target for the Aggie offense. They're going to pick up actually a gain of 8, bring up second and short. Petrus draws back, a lot of pressure on the offense, and there's going to be a flag tone. The intended receiver was going to be to Otto Tia, the main guy tonight for Petrus, and it looks to be
probably Steve Hall, just a little
Steve
handsy.
Hall's going to get it.
Defense, number 1.
Yeah, he's just got too much hands going on, and that's probably something. Hasn't been too many negatives tonight for Washington State, but there's been a few pass interference calls where they just get their hands in there too early, and I think that could be addressed in practice coming up next week. You just get on them a little bit, and it hasn't been terrible. It's just been one of the things that you can work on.
Secondary has been a little bit of an issue as Petrus now in a first down situation. He's going to swing it out to Tia. Tia is going to be brought down by a couple of Cougs, but will pick up the first down. And now Utah State in a position where they have just marched down around 20 or 30 yards or so, and they are now on the Cougar 38. Petrus fakes a handoff, draws back, a little bit of pressure, flag thrown, going to be tackled by Kyle Thornton, but there will be a penalty on the play.
Really curious to see what this is because it was thrown from the back judge.
Holding offense.
Alrighty.
Wow.
Must have had a good view on something that the back judge didn't see. He didn't throw the flag. It was coming down from the top over in the defensive backfield from Washington State. So back up Utah State, and that's just another thing that hasn't gone right.
Love to see it for the Cougs. Now the ball 1st and 20. The ball on the 49. A big holding play that maybe has paused the momentum for the Aggies. Petrus fakes a handoff to Turner. Swings it off to Tia. Tia is going to be brought down again, maybe 1.
A lot of yards to make up for Utah State. Can't get it all back in one play every time, so try to go short, but that was really nothing.
Petrus now in a 2nd and 20 situation. No gain on the last play. Fakes the handoff. He's going to scramble from the pocket. A lot of pressure. Going to be tripped up by the big DN Isaac Terrell, a Utah native, and it's going to be an incomplete pass, bringing up 3rd and 20.
And it's really impressive still that there are no sacks for this Washington State defense on Spencer Petrus. There's been a lot of pressure. He's been hit as he was trying to throw, but there has been no official sacks tonight.
A ton of pressure from the defensive line of Washington State. Petrus faking the clap for the snap. 3rd and 20. Cougs leading 35-7. 4:14 left in the third quarter. Petrus grabbing the snap in gun formation. Still pressure from the defensive line. He's going to swing it out to Tia, and Tia's barely going to get to the sticks, bringing up 4th and long.
It is 4th and long, and Utah State probably just going to go for it. Might as well. Inside Washington State territory.
A little too long maybe for a field goal, but also too short for a punt. They're going to go for it, really nothing to lose. Ball on the 39, 4th and 10. Petrus fakes the handoff to Turner. He's going to swing it to the middle. Blasted by the cornerback, Kenan Worthy the third, and they will pick up the first down. A must-need situation, 4th and 10, but the Cougs unable to stop the Aggies. Petrus fakes off another handoff, another target to Tia, and Tia is mad that he did not break away, and a Coug looks to be on the ground.
Yeah, not sure who it is. Hard to see the number, and now the training staff is over him.
Looks to be shaken up pretty bad. Injury timeout because of it. But Tia getting some great touches for the Aggies. Moving on and trying to march down to maybe put some more scores on the scoreboard. And you would hate to see another, it looked to be in their secondary, another key pivotal player, Tyson Durant, coming out of the game not long ago in the first half. we still do not know exactly who it is, but would hate to see another key component of their backfield maybe out for the night.
Yeah, this is not a good situation for Washington State, especially when it's a 35-7 ball game, and you just hope that nobody really ever gets hurt, but especially when it looks like it's Adrian Wilson, which was the other man that was involved in that play when Tyson Durant got hurt. So that's the two safeties for Washington State down.
Going to bring up Leighton Smithson. He's the third stringer of the free safeties, the Bellingham native. Two safeties to miss. That's something that, Utah State right now is probably trying to target as the ball is on the 14. Petrus is going to hand it off actually to Turner. Turner's going to get around 5. First man misses, brought down by a flurry of Gray. Bringing up second and 4. Aggies trying to march down into Cougar country and trying to put some more points on the board. Petrus takes the snap, hands it right back off to Turner Jr. The true freshman drives and rushes over to the 2-yard line. A pickup of the first down, and the chains will be put down on the ground to bring up first and goal.
Good to see Durant back in the game after going down with that injury. Good news for Washington State is that he's back, but bad news is that Adrian Wilson went out a few plays ago.
Petrus and the Aggie offense. Ball on the 2-yard line. First and goal. Cougs leading 35-7. 2 minutes left in the third. Petrus, shotgun formation. He's going to drop back in the pocket. He was going to target Kyrese White, but will be overthrown, bringing up second and goal at the same spot. A flurry of different players, of people transferring in and out. The front 4 on the D line. You have Cyrus Webster in there. You have some other big names as Ansel Tinbu and some others trying to have around 5 or 6 guy front in front of the Aggies. Petrus drops back. He's going to take off. And that's going to be a touchdown for the Aggies. It's actually going to be a different quarterback. It's going to be Bryson Barnes that came in there for Petrus.
Yeah.
More
of the running quarterback.
Yeah, more of the running quarterback. Guess they wanted to run him in there. Bryson Barnes, have not seen him tonight. He's going to score the second touchdown for the Aggies.
Well, a good drive from Utah State, keeping it alive, going for it, on fourth down, getting that good completion to Kyrese White, and then the injury to Adrian Wilson, who looks like he's back in the game. So a quick turnaround for Wilson and Durant back in the game. So overall, great sign for Washington State.
Cragen to kick the extra point. Stanley, the hold, good. Kick, extra point, good as well. Now 35-14. Cougars still with a very comfortable lead. 2:02 left in the third quarter. And Davis, that was something really interesting that we just noticed right there, that Bryson Barnes, the 6'2 junior, native of Milford, Utah, coming up with running the ball. He had a big run against Wyoming late on a 4th and 3 situation. He got 6 yards. So it looked like they wanted to use him here when they only needed to pick up 2 for the touchdown.
Yeah, he's been essentially the bulldozer for them. He gets in the game and then just runs straight ahead most of the time. They went to him early in the year, and he has around 50 pass attempts on the season. But most of the time, as the season has progressed, they've gone to him strictly for running in that kind of wildcat, but it's a quarterback formation. So kind of like we saw earlier in the year with Texas Tech and their running quarterback.
The Aggies of Utah State will be kicking off for the first time in a little while, as the Cougars still leading 35-14. Looks to be Leighton Smithson in the backfield. He's going to actually take off this time. Smithson is going to be tackled around the 21-yard line and going to bring out John Mateer and the Cougar offense. 2 minutes ago in the third quarter as we're getting near to the fourth. John Mateer and the rest of the offense getting ready to hopefully march back down to the field. Mateer in the backfield. Parker to his right. Pululasi actually is going to get the handoff. A gain of around 6 and will be brought down. A nice easy rush
number 20.
for the running back. One of the 2-1-2 punches of the Cougar backfield. Bringing up 2nd 4. Mateer drops back, swings over to Kyle Williams, who had that score the first touchdown. We're going to bring up a good first down. A reception of around 15. Another Cougar first down. Ball on the 38 as the Cougars march forward. Mateer, handoff Pululasi. Pululasi to his left, makes another man miss. Goes, picks up the first down, makes a second man miss, makes a third man miss. Brought down by the Aggies defense. J.D. Drew making the tackle as the Cougars pick another first down. A great reception for Pululasi. Mateer, gun formation, fakes handoff, swings it out to Hernandez. Hernandez is going to be brought down for a gain of 5 or 6.
Good read by Mateer, getting it out quick. He's done a good job tonight, not really forcing anything dangerous. He's done a good job to pull things down, throw it away if he has to, but also just getting it out quick. And the rain has started to come down, a light sprinkle, and it is pretty cold outside already. So surprised that there's still this many fans left.
41 degrees here in Pullman tonight. Mateer, Pululasi to his left. He looks left, drops back in the pocket. He's going to scramble. He's going to try to take off. Makes another man miss. Mateer to the 30. Mateer to the 20. The ball comes out, and it's going to be recovered in the – oh, my goodness. It's going to be fumbled. It was kicked. It was bobbled, and the ball is going to fall out of the end zone. Should have been fallen on by an Aggie, but luckily there's a penalty marker as well, but luckily not fallen on. But Mateer had a great rush, but ball just popped out.
The ball just flew out of his hands, and he was around like the 15 to 20-yard line, and that ball got all the way out of the end zone. It's like 25 yards of the ball just squirting down the field, and there's a flag, and I wonder if it's going to be like illegal batting or something on, intentionally pushing it out of the end zone, or if it's a penalty on like a hold somewhere down the field. It is interesting that the penalty marker is in the far right corner of the end zone. The ball went out of the end zone, so it would be a touchback, and Utah State would get the ball, but I wonder what they're going to call. There's been some interesting conversations tonight between the officials, and this is another one.
Yeah, I would hope to maybe be a hold or something of that sort, but just kind of a weird series of events happening in that play. Mateer with a great rush.
Defense. Number 26.
Whoa. Illegal batting from the Utah State defense.
Wow.
WSU getting a huge break and not only getting the ball back instead of maybe giving a touchdown to the Utah State.
Was bouncing fast enough that it would have gone out. And our booth is right next to the Utah State coaching, and drilling is giving the refs an earful. Nobody is happy on Utah State. This has been a bad night made worse.
We are right next to some of the coaching staff of Utah State in the booth right next to our left, and they are visibly upset. The head coach is visibly upset. It looks like maybe all of Utah, or at least the Utah State side of Logan. Utah still being up in the BYU game. And there's a penalty markers were flown. An unsportsmanlike conduct will be thrown on the head coach, going to move further.
Wow.
Just a really bad series of events.
Yeah, well, right as they think they're finally getting something to go their way, and it's going to be their ball at like the 20 to 25-yard line, it's now first and goal Washington State. Oh, boy. It's been that kind of season for Utah State.
Just one thing after another, and the ball turned into an avalanche for the Utah State Aggies. Now Mateer on the 5-yard line is going to fake a handoff. He's going to try to rush it swarmed by a winter of white and brought down at the 5-yard line. We're going to take a quick break and actually go to Dominic, who is on the sidelines, and see if he can get any updates maybe on Tyson Durant or just kind of the whole atmosphere and what's going on right now in Giesa Field.
All you, Dominic. Good evening.
Injury.
Hey,
That's
Don.
on the left leg injury.
Say that one more time for us. We just didn't hear you.
He went back on the field for a couple of plays. He was limping, but he's on the field a couple of plays, then came back off the field and actually took his jersey off and received ice on his right hip. It appears to be a right hip injury. He took his jersey off. Doesn't look like he's going to play the rest of the game. And then Adrian Wilson down with what appeared to be a left wrist injury. He was actually screaming, but he never went to the tent, and he joined right back onto the field. It looks like he's going to play a little more.
Thank you so much, Don, for that much-needed update for the free safeties of Washington State. As you just heard, Tyson Durant being scheduled with maybe a hip injury, and then Adrian Wilson also being banged up, but it looks like he's going to get back out there so that they do not have to go to the third stringer, Leighton Smithson from Bellingham. So just a good series of events that, hopefully Adrian Wilson can get back in there and maybe make a stop as the Cougars are going to switch sides of the fields as we will start the fourth quarter with Davis. You are listening to KUGR. We will be right back in a couple of moments.
The rain has started to come down, but spirits are high in Pullman. It's 35-14. Washington State has the 21-point lead, and we are pumping it up in Pullman. Josiah, how's things going right now?
Well, you just mentioned this rain. It's almost looking like the western side of Washington. I know you're from Oregon, Davis, but someone that's from the Seattle area, I'm from Marysville originally, this is looking very nostalgic and reminiscent of Washington football games. And we'll see how it affects the play as the Cougars are on the 5.
5-yard line, John Mateer in the shotgun. Cougars threatening to score. Just starting the fourth quarter. Lechner in motion, swirling around in the backfield. Mateer takes a snap, looking into the end zone, and it's dropped. Had Carlos Hernandez sitting in the end zone, but it went right off his mitts and into the turf. So looked like some pretty cold hands, just couldn't get it in there. Mateer put a lot of RPMs on that one, as Lechner will sub out and Billy Revere, the third, will come in.
Hernandez, the California native, maybe not used to the rain.
Yeah, could be.
You hate to see it, but
he missed most of the year with an injury. Came back against Fresno State with a touchdown, San Diego State with a touchdown, but missed one there. Trips to the left. Mateer takes the snap, rolls out to the left, looking to the end zone. Pump fakes, fires back of the end zone. Caught wide open. Touchdown, Kyle Williams. No doubt about it. in the back pylon. Kyle Williams with his third touchdown of the night, and Washington State 41, Utah State 14. And this defense just can't catch a break in any game they play. The rain really starting to come down now, but no problem for Washington State. Janikowski on to kick the extra point. Missed a field goal earlier, but he's been perfect on the extra points tonight. Clean snap, clean hold, kick right through. And it's 42-14, 11 seconds into the fourth quarter. Josiah, what are your overall thoughts on, the start fourth quarter pretty great, but just overall in this second half, it seems like they've really exploded here.
Yes, absolutely. I think one plus was definitely taking advantage of some very maybe not rewarding opportunities for the Utah State side and just taking advantage of those penalties. Motions started to fly from the coaching staff, as well as just some kind of confusion on a batted fumble from Mateer. So I think just captivating on opportunities for John Mateer in the offense has been a great push forward. It's just gained the lead here. The ball got moved to the 5. We switched quarters and a touchdown by the Cougs. So hopefully we can keep the ball rolling even a little bit more, maybe rack up another touchdown or two. The Utah-BYU game is getting closer. 8 minutes left in the fourth. 21-19. Utah still leading. Would love to see Utah squeeze out a win against the BYU Cougars.
Yeah, the different Cougars, the blue Cougs. And it looks like Utah's down to their third quarterback, Brandon Rose. They're showing a graphic here. Not necessarily the best night. He's just over 100 yards, but it's 21-19 Utah with 8:37 to go on ESPN. A big year for the Big 12, adding some new teams, but there's been nobody that's, other than BYU, that's been dominant in the conference. Iowa State has lost 2 in a row, lost to Kansas today, who was 2-6 coming in, just like Utah State is here for Washington State. But the Big 12 has been a conference that might not even get themselves a top 4 seed if they play like this. Boise State, I don't know how they did against Nevada. We should probably check on that because that seems important. But
yeah,
the Mountain West might have the team, if Boise State did beat Nevada tonight, that might get that top 4 seed if BYU loses tonight. And then if Colorado ends up winning that conference, I don't think you can logically say that Colorado will have a higher rank than Boise State going into championship weekend.
Boise State winning kind of narrowly against Nevada at home. They won 28-21. Boise State ranked 12th in the nation, but still a good win.
Yeah,
but a little dicey.
At the end of the day, a win is a win. And Nevada, in fact, played SMU in the first week of the season pretty close. So the Wolfpack have had people on the ropes all year. They beat Troy, which Troy hasn't had a good year, but they did beat Troy. So shout out to the Troy Trojans, who won the Sun Belt back-to-back years, but this year has not been in their favor, but that's okay. 42-14 at Pullman. It's 14:49 to go. Utah State as many points as there are minutes left in this game, so that's not a great sign. Janikowski to kick it off. White and Turner back deep. Flying through the air, end over end, returnable at the goal line for White. Breaks it out to the left side. He's got some speed and some space at the 15, to the 20, to the 25. Spins to the 30, and he's finally blasted down. So Utah State's offense will come out. Petrus still the quarterback. We saw a touchdown earlier from Bryson Barnes, the Utah transfer, who his former school, we've been keeping you updated on that all night long. They still have a 2-point lead over BYU. These late night games sometimes can get crazy. This one, not so much. It's kind of one-sided. Washington State doing a good job to pull away from the Aggies, but Utah up 21-19 with about 7:30 to go. 30-yard line. Petrus, play action, slant pass. This ball's tapped into the air by Gushikin, who already has an interception tonight, but he read that perfectly, intended for Adotia, but the ball falls harmlessly to the turf.
Yeah, you love how Gushikin just making plays on the football. And talking about this BYU-Utah game, a similar play after brings up a 4th and 9 situation for the Utah Utes.
Petrus will hand it off to Turner An awkward handoff. Keith Brown tracks him down. Gain of about 3 for Turner.
Herschel Turner, number 21.
Then it was 21 on 21 crime. Keith Brown, the 21 for the Cougs.
21 on the tackle. Keith Brown.
Turner, the leading rusher for Utah State with 58 yards on 14 attempts. 3rd down and 6. Petrus under pressure, steps away from it, going long to Page. He's out there and it's incomplete. Flag flying on Tanner Moku. Going to be pass interference again for the Cougs. It's been a problem all night. That one was pretty clear that it was on Moku, who got the start tonight. But he's made some plays. He had the pass interference called on the punt, and he has it again here, this time on Grant Page.
Moku and the other defensive backs, when trying to defend the ball against receivers, they have to look back. When they are just looking in the receiver's face the entire time as they're guarding them, kind of this man-to-man defense down the sidelines, if they're not trying to actively look or make a play at the ball, they're going to get the flag thrown every single time. It really is that simple. They have to look back.
Exactly. Looking back, especially when a ball's underthrown, that's really when they get hit with it. So Grant Page, the Colorado transfer, doesn't have a touchdown on the year, but he gets 15 for the Aggies in the pass interference. Petrus takes a snap, play action to Turner, looking for Hystera, wide open at the 40, and he breaks a tackle up to about the 47 of the Washington State Cougars territory. Parker McKenna made the tackle, the Portland State transfer on Jack Hystera, who played in the Conference USA with Charlotte last year in 2023. He's got 3 touchdowns on the year. Handoff to Turner up the middle, dicing his way through the defense. Milani was there, wrapping him down with Latai Amua, and it's enough for a first down for the Utah State Aggies with 13:25 to go. They're down a lot. It's 42-14. They're still going fast. They got trips left, and 1 receiver to the right. Petrus in the gun. Haven't gone under center more than a few times tonight. Seeing the shotgun so much in college football. Play action. Petrus looking to money, and it's Cash, and he's got a first down. You have about 8, maybe 9. Will Money, the tight end that's kind of been thrust into the situation of playing a lot more. He only had 6 catches and 75 yards coming into tonight. That's his 7th. But Brock Lane getting injured. He was their leading tight end with 19 catches, 197 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But, as always for Utah State this year, he's hurt. Turner motions out. Petrus going to go long. Didn't even think about it. And Tia gets broken up by Ethan O'Connor. The first time we've really seen him tonight. He's been on an island with some receivers. And what a season from Ethan O'Connor, who is really thrust into this role with Jamari Colson getting injured early to start the season. Ethan O'Connor got in there, and he's done a really nice job.
Ethan O'Connor, one of those guys that, like you mentioned, has had a ton of big plays. And right there doing a great job of looking back, definitely not receiving a penalty. Bring up 3rd and long.
Trips right, play action, quick slant to Tia, and he's hit immediately by Wilson, and then a swarm of Cougs come over, led by Buda Al-Ukta, and he has enough for the first down. Otto Tia, who had a career high last time out against Wyoming, having a decent night tonight. He's got 5 catches for just 13 yards before that play. 1st and 10 for Utah State, moving the ball right along on this drive. 12 minutes to go, 42-14 Washington State. Turner motions out in the bubble to the left. Petrus looking, happy feet in the pocket, steps away. Pressure coming, gets rid of it, and it's incomplete, and a flag flies.
Flag on the play.
Not sure what that could be. Could be holding, could be something else, but David Gusta put the pressure on Petrus, and he hasn't gone down all night, which is pretty surprising, I would say. And holding on the offense once again. Utah State backing themselves up. So anytime they get a little momentum going forwards, they just bring themselves right back down.
Sounds like Utah State. It's been kind of a testament here tonight, kind of their season, where they, try to get something going, and then it's like taking 1 step forward and then like 4 or 5 back instead of 2 or 3. Just kind of been an issue for.
Well, this offensive line has been overwhelmed by Washington State at times tonight. The average weight for Utah State is like 301 pounds across the board on the offensive line, when typically nowadays you see it up in the 350s, 325 area. Hand off to Turner off the right side. Breaks a tackle. He's got some room to work at the 30. Bounces off another Cougar to the 25-yard line before Thornton meets him. And he got a lot of that penalty yardage back. He got about 16. Good gain from Herschel Turner.
Kyle Thornton.
And Thornton brought him down. So 11 and a half to go from first and 20 to second in about 3. Great run. Still down Utah State. It hasn't been their season or their night.
Yeah, it does not feel like team spirit or anything. It does feel like Utah spirit as Devon is playing in the background a little bit.
Yeah.
It does not feel like Aggie spirit, that's for sure.
Trips to the left. Turner still the back. Not a lot of phase on tonight. Not a lot of anybody, really, for Utah State. Petrus out of the gun, pressure coming by Colson, and he dumps it off, and that's caught. That's Turner again falling down. That's the 4th time that's happened tonight where he is intended target and he falls down. So making some acrobatic catches, but it seems maybe unnecessary. If he would keep his footing, he might be dancing in the end zone at this point. But Petrus did a good job stepping away from Colson's corner blitz, and he's still yet to get sacked.
Yeah, they're doing a great job of chopping down against this Cougar defense and maybe trying to make something happen.
White in motion. Petrus keeps it and ducks down. Maybe got back to the line of scrimmage. He's ran the ball a lot tonight. He's been trying to do everything for them, but the Iowa transfer, he spent 3 years for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and they have infamously had one of the worst offenses in college football for the past few years. He was part of that, and he only averaged 177 yards before coming here and averaging over 300. Petrus finally brought down, and it's David Gusta getting the sack all the way back at the 18-yard line, and the first sack of the night comes with 9:54 to go in the 4th quarter. Wow.
Loss of 4 yards in the play.
You love to see finally a sack by that big defensive line.
Finally getting rewarded, and again, it's the defensive tackles getting the sack. They were talking about that this week in the press conferences leading up to this game on Saturday, that the edges haven't really been getting pressure. Nusi Milani, Cyrus Webster, Ram Stevenson haven't been getting the sacks. It's been Dinbu and Gusta, the defensive tackles, getting the sacks. On 3rd down, dump it off to Turner on a screen pass, and he's tracked down from behind by Cyrus Webster. Not a sack, but a good tackle to stop Turner in his tracks. There's about 9:10 to go, 42-14 Washington State. Utah State going to go for it. Might as well.
Might as well. They have nothing to lose here.
Yeah.
In the season, in the game, and
right.
kind of everything.
Pretty much everything for Utah State. Will Money out there with Kyrese White, Otto Tia, and Grant Page, the receivers. 4th down and 8. Ball on the 12-yard line. Petrus takes the snap. Looks right. Going to dump it off to Kyrese White, and he is reaching for the end zone. Did he get there? Haven't seen a signal yet. They think it's a touchdown, and it is. Touchdown, Utah State.
Yeah, putting Utah State on the board, a good stretch by Kyrese White. Just, he's been one of the many targets. Otto Tia, Kyrese White receiving in the backfield, receiving punts. So putting the Aggies and, starting to try to chip away a little bit or making this loss or this losing right now a little less evident.
42-20 is the score after that touchdown.
A little update from the Utah BYU game, 21-19. Utah still leading. They have the ball, 1st and 10.
Cragen to kick the extra point for Utah State to try to make it 42-21. Kick up and right through the middle, and it's 42-21. And 8:39 to go. Washington State holding on to a 21-point lead. The defense giving up a touchdown. They finally got their first sack, but then Utah State goes for it on 4th down and scores to Kyrese White, who coming into tonight had 2 touchdowns. This is his best year at Utah State. Before that, he had 578 all-purpose yards just coming into this game. And Utah State's a team that coming into 2 weeks ago before Jalen Royals got hurt, Rasul Faison and Jalen Royals, their 2 best players, they had really great opportunities, and they were 2 of the top 50 players in all-purpose yards, yet they were 1 in 5 or something at that point, and it's kind of odd to see that much production go to waste. And a lot of it's probably on defense. And I don't know if you've had any advice in your life about defense or anything, but I think
one thing I really wanted to reiterate and mention, I was going to mention it at the end of this game, but defense wins championships and defense wins ball games. Defense is the key to football. A wise man from maybe Western Washington once told me that, but defense definitely has a great deal of success if you want to win a football game. And right now, it looks like the Cougars have handled themselves well on the defensive side of the ball.
Defense has been good, and this season it's been rocky. There's been a lot of yards given up, just like Utah State, giving up some yards, but Utah State seems to give up a lot more points. Again, they are the second worst defense in the country. Kent State is the only team worse than them, and they are 0-9 in the MAC, still fighting for their first win. But Washington State's been the bend but don't break. Between the 20s, they give up yards, and the defensive coordinator was asked about that in the press conference, and his answer was interesting because he didn't really answer it, why they give up so many yards. He says, well, we only care about points. At the end of the day, we can give up as many yards as we want, but it's about points. And it's a little bit interesting because you don't want to give up anything. And so it was kind of a weird answer to me, but either way, 42-21 right now for Washington State. But anything we should see maybe trying to chip away at the time, or do you go down and try to score again quickly?
I feel like maybe trying to chip away, I think, at that time. There's 8 minutes left. That's not a ton of time, but still a great deal. You would love to maybe slowly give it off to Parker, Hululasi, Schlembacher, and try to run the football down a little bit. I just kind of love running the football kind of down their throats.
Yep.
They haven't really been able to stop it, with that huge 75 run from Parker earlier in the night, and see if they can kind of jump around and move right down the field.
Good job. Washington State ready for an onside kick from Nimrod. Only one return man back, and that's Smithson at the 20-yard line. Everybody else is up ready for an onside kick. Nimrod ready for it. In their sprinter formation, and they bounce it up to the right side, and this ball's batted and out of bounds. It's going to go to Washington State. Larson batted it, and it might be another illegal batting call. There are 2 flags that fly in.
Oh, boy.
So Larson tried to get it. He couldn't quite grab it, so I don't necessarily fault him for swatting at it to try to grab it, but it did get hit out of bounds.
Still a great deal of rain here in Pullman right now.
Yeah.
So that ball was kind of slick, and it had a huge high bounce, maybe 10 feet or so. So very difficult to maybe try to make a snag at it.
Yeah. And the flags were on the illegal kickoff out of bounds.
Kickoff out of bounds. Kicking team. 5 yards will be added to the end of the play.
Oh.
First down.
Pretty simple there, as the Cougs will move on a little bit more.
That was a much simpler version of the onside kick. We saw something really crazy earlier where they just decided to redo it.
Crazy.
So first down and 10 for Washington State. 8:36 to go. Still moving the ball, getting it set. They're going to place it at the 47-yard line. 3 yards to go to get to Utah State territory. 2 receivers to the left and 1 to the right. Wayshawn, it looks like it's Schlembacher is the running back. They hand it off on a jet sweep to Kyle Williams, breaks it upfield inside to Utah State territory, and he's tracked down by Torrin Union, the nickel. Good gain inside to Utah State territory. Gain of about 6, 7, 8, maybe? I don't know. Probably around 8, 7. Oh, boy, they're moving it back 6 yards. I had it right the first time.
No, you did.
Went through all the numbers, so at least at some point I'm going to get it right.
They were trying to play musical chairs with the marker.
Yeah. Yeah, trying to confuse us, I think.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah, they're out to get us. 42-21, 8 minutes to go. Schlembacher is the back. Waiting for the time to tick down. Mateer just watching the play clock run down. They have 8 to snap. Motions Mathers to the left side. Keeper for Mateer, and he's got a lot of room to work, and he picks up the first down. Mouthpiece flies. And Hernandez picks it up, but that's a first down for Washington State as they continue to move the ball, and the clock continues to tick down. There's 7.5 to go. Controlling the ball is important.
Yeah, I love how Mateer loves to rushes and loves to run the ball, but man, every time I see him get hit, I just get so nervous.
Yeah.
That's our guy, number one, our quarterback, but leader on rushing, and he goes down, that could be a flurry of problems. So every time I see him just like battling, like he's, Derrick Henry or something in the backfield, just scares me.
Yeah, he's 5th nationally in the country with 341 yards per game, just overall yards, as Schlenbaker takes the handoff for 3 yards up the middle to the 32-yard line of the Utah State Aggies. But John Mateer just kind of is the cog in the machine for Washington State. Just so impressive. He's on the Manning Award watch list. He's on the Maxwell Award watch list. He's on the Davey O'Brien quarterback watch, and such a fantastic season for a guy that some people doubted that he should be the starter to start the year. A lot of people thought maybe he should be Zevi Eckhouse. Eckhouse won the spring game back in April, but regardless, Mateer's led a fantastic season. Schlenbaker up the middle, bouncing off Aggies, and he gets it down to make it a 3rd and 1. This ball's on the 28-yard line for Washington State. Schlenbaker dealing with some ailments coming into this game, but he looks pretty healthy out there, and good to see him. They only have 3 running backs left after Dylan Payne was injured a few weeks ago, and he's out for the season. So they're down to just Schlenbaker, Puluasi, and Wayshawn Parker. So trying to balance the load for these running backs, but they also got another running back at number 10. 3rd down and 2 from the 28-yard line. Mateer again watching the play clock run down. 5 seconds to snap it. They get it off. Hand off to Schlenbaker, and he's met. Did he get anything? I don't know. I don't think he did. And a Utah State Aggie is down.
Aggie is down.
Yeah, looks like Sololo Loalea.
Gonna pop up though.
He's
good.
He's trying to fight through it. Respect the grit shown. And Bo Miley was on the tackle. He's going to come off for the 4th down play. Utah State making some substitutions. The nickel coming back in. Torn Union. Dickerson's been picked on a few times tonight against Kyle Williams. But it's 4th down, and they're going to go for it. It's 4th and 2. 5 minutes to go. 42-21 Washington State. Dickert watching the clock run down. There's still 30 seconds on the play clock. So we might be here for a while.
A little score update. This BYU-Utah game is a great game. BYU has the ball right now. They're still down 19-21 against Utah. 1:48 left in the 4th. They're 2nd and 10 at the 10.
And a flag flies. Refs alerted him that they got to snap it. And Iniguez jumped the gun and ran into Brock Dew. And that's going to be encroachment with contact.
Offside.
So offside is the call, and 5 yards gain. So sometimes they jump off sides and they let him have a free play if there was no contact. Mateer wanted to be able to chuck that out to Hernandez, but the refs blow it dead for player safety, and it's a 1st down for Washington State. They didn't even have to snap it on 4th down.
Not at all. Moving the chains a little bit more.
4:34 to go. 42-21. The clock will start at the snap, as you heard the referee. So from the 23-yard line, Washington State up 21. Just trying to whittle this time down. 2 tight ends set. Turn in hand to the left side. Schlenbaker gets blasted in the backfield by Union, and he stays on his feet, but he's going to lose about 2 or 3 yards back to the 26.
And it was 15 on the tackle.
Torn Union coming flying down from the nickel spot. And Washington State more than happy to just stand there and watch the clock run out. 18 seconds on the play clock. 4 minutes on the game clock. Again, the score 42-21. It's 2nd down and 13. The ball's on the 26-yard line. Mateer takes the snap, hands it off to Schlenbaker, bounces it off the left side. Schlenbaker's got a 1st down, and he's out of bounds at the 12-yard line. Great run from Javinsky Schlenbaker. And it's a Cougar first down and more time coming off the clock. 3.5 minutes to go. Everybody just kind of waiting for the time to run off the clock. Not a lot of interest in either team shown out there. Utah State's just kind of accepting defeat. Washington State's pretty excited to get this win, but another disappointing loss for Utah State. Schlenbaker takes the handoff up the middle, and he dives forward to the 10-yard line with 3:05 to go, 42-21. Still up by 21, maybe trying to get up by a little more, being respectful to not throw the ball, just trying to get the clock to run out. Making some substitutions. Kyle Maxwell, the Louisiana Tech transfer, got into the game, but receivers coming in and out. A guy we haven't seen tonight, Trey Shackelford, the Austin Peay transfer, has had a decent season, had a nice catch against San Diego State. Not out there tonight.
Not at all.
From the 10-yard line, 2nd down and 8. Mateer takes the snap, going to keep it himself off the right side, ducking through players, and that's some risky contact. Maybe unnecessary for Mateer, but he picks up 5. Union on the stop again, and it's 3rd down and 2. What do you think about that from Mateer running at this point?
We've mentioned it before, but I'm like, in this situation where there's only 2 minutes left, we're about to take the 2-minute timeout, a couple seconds from it. Mateer, diving head first like he's Saquon Barkley in the NFL or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I feel like as someone that is trying to be like preservative of our team, as well as like our guy, I'm just like, it gives me like mini heart attacks. It's like watching the Seahawks every week. It gives me heart attacks every week when I see him just diving head first like he's Wayshawn Parker or something.
2 minutes to go in this game. It's 42-21. You're listening to KUGR, the student voice of the Palouse. Two minutes left in Pullman. It's 42-21. It's 3rd down and 3, but our eyes have been on the screen in the booth because Utah and BYU coming down to the wire. Just over a minute, I think, left in the game. They're reviewing a catch right now by BYU.
Looks to be a catch.
Really
from
tight
the
call.
Receiver.
Yeah. The Holy War over in Utah. This Utah State team, though, has not had anything going holy night tonight. It's been pretty bad for them. It's kind of been that way all year, though. they've done a good job fighting all night long, but there's just been a lot of things that have gone wrong, and their defense has been shredded by the Mateer machine tonight.
Johnny Football.
Oh, yeah. Johnny Appleseed, as
Johnny
they call
Appleseed,
him.
yeah.
Yep. 5-yard line, 3rd down and 3, handoff to Schlenbaker, and he's met by a lot of Aggies, and he's not going anywhere. It's going to be 4th down, and we'll see what they do. It's interesting if they take the points, or do you just go for it? I don't know which one's more respectful if you're just trying to play purely out of respect. Taking the points might be, running up the score, but at that point, I don't think running up the score is a thing past high school.
Right. I feel like Division I.
Yeah, if you don't want them to score, you got to stop them.
Right. This isn't Boys and Girls Club.
Right. Yeah.
Football.
Yeah.
Pee-wee.
So it's 4th down and 5. Ball's on the 7-yard line. They can still get a 1st down. Flag flies. Free play for Mateer. Steps out to the right. Steps through the defense. Running towards the pylon. Going to get out of bounds. And another risky play. And Mateer gets up. But another really risky play that doesn't need to be, especially on a free play. When they jump off sides, you're going to get a 1st down. The game's going to be over. Give yourself up. And other news, BYU just gets a 1st down. So here we go.
BYU,
they're driving.
Would not like them to score. 1:07 left in that game in the 4th.
This is a big game to keep your eye on for Washington State, especially with this win. That's why we are so invested in the booth, keeping you updated on this BYU game, because if enough teams lose in front of Washington State, this season could be a whole lot different than a lot of people thought it would be. It's 1st and 10 for BYU. They're inside Utah territory. There's 1:07 to go. They're running an option. Retzloff pitches it out, and that's a big hole for you, BYU, and a 1st down diving over players. Excellent run. So BYU driving. All they need to do is get into field goal range. Utah still has 2 timeouts. There's a minute left in the game. BYU doesn't have any timeouts, so this is their last hope for the game. Back in Pullman, it's a 42-21 game, though. 1:10 to go, and they're going to come out in the I formation from the 4-yard line. It's still 4th and 2. Kyle Williams in motion. Mateer under center. Play action. Mateer rolls out, looking to the end zone. Touchdown, Cooper Mathers. Wide open, and the Cougars score a late touchdown with 1:05 to go, 48-21 over the Utah State Aggies. They catch them by surprise, and a sidearm sling from Mateer to Mathers, and another touchdown.
Yeah, the Cougars right now with 48 points. The score is higher than the temperature here in Pullman right now.
Yeah.
Just racking it up.
Very nice. Good point. Janikowski on to hopefully tack on the extra point. He's been perfect from the extra point range tonight, not so much on the field goal realm. This one is true. So 49-21, 28-point lead for Washington State, which is exactly where they wanted to be by the end of this night. Right around 49 to 50 points is kind of where Utah State gives up all their points, is right around that 40, almost 50 area. They gave up around 48 points a game. And it's not looking great for Utah State. This season's kind of been rocky all year. We mentioned their coach got fired before the season. They got the interim coach. Things aren't going their way. And it's looked like this game has kind of been, a time capsule of their season so far. 21 points from the offense, not bad. But then you look at the other side of the scoreboard, and they've got 49. And then you realize, oh, man, there's only a minute left in the game. We don't got any time left.
Yeah, I've been kind of peering into the booth left to us, part of the Utah State coaching staff, and they look to be about as upset as the sideline.
Yeah.
So kind of a testament of kind of what's going on. And
and that's probably been the best word to describe the season has been frustrating because you've got so much talent on the roster, and then everybody gets hurt. And what are you going to do at that point?
Hate to
You
see
just
it.
got to keep fighting, and they have done that. They haven't given up. It's just been one thing after the other. They finally stop John Mateer, and he pops the ball out, and the ball goes in the end zone.
Right.
They punch it out of the end zone, which is, honestly, if you're in the heat of the moment, that's probably the right play, but it is a penalty, and then Washington State ends up getting the ball. The coaches go ballistic, and they get a penalty. They move Washington State even closer, and then they score a touchdown. And by that time, I mean, the game was probably in hand already, but that was kind of the dagger to the heart for Utah State. They lost all their steam, and nothing can come back from that point, especially down this much when an offense like theirs can get a lot of yards but just doesn't have a lot of points to show for it.
Yeah.
Tonight they have 320 yards to the Washington State Cougars 483. So just again, I mean, this is the defense we're talking about here is not fair, really.
Yeah, definitely the final nails in the coffin. Kind of digging the grave for Utah State.
Yeah.
As we're checking the score, 55 seconds in this Utah-BYU game streaming on ESPN. The Utah Utes still leading by 2, 21-19, 55 seconds left. BYU has the ball at the Utah 27 or so yard line, 2nd and 12 for them. So if they score, it could be over for Utah, but they've held this lead throughout the entirety of the game. A little handoff, but stuffed up, and it's going to bring up 3rd down for the Utes on the TV above us.
Well, I think BYU looks like they're going to be playing for the field goal. Utah calls their final timeout, so it's 3rd down, and if they don't mess up, they don't fumble here, BYU is probably going to run one more play, take a bunch of time off the clock, get their field goal unit out, and hopefully for the Cougars of the other side of the badness of blue, they want to get that field goal and take the win over Utah, which would be devastating to Cougar fans.
Yes.
They are really rooting for the boys in red. So Janikowski to kick things off. 1:05 to go in Pullman. It's kind of a crazy dynamic this season as a fair catch is called by Will Money, and the ball will go to the 25-yard line for Utah State. The dynamic of the season is there's been a lot more investment from teams like Washington State watching these games like BYU and rooting for somebody harder than they ever have.
Yes.
Because there's 12 teams that can get in, not just 4. Previously, probably wouldn't care about this game because we're not even close to the top 4. So
no,
it's been really interesting. So BYU does run it, and there's 45 seconds left, so they're probably going to need to get their kicking team out, just settle down and kick it. It's 4th down, so Petrus fires out to Kahanu Davis, and he still doesn't have a catch on the season. That's incomplete. Clock will stop at a minute, 49-21.
He's had a struggling night tonight. A few drop balls, and I mean, it's just kind of been a testament of the Utah State offense.
Yeah, it really has, and they've really been trying to replace their all-star receiver, Jalen Royals. Petrus takes the snap, going to go out quick to the other side. That's Hystera, who will bounce it out of bounds. So BYU with 10 seconds to go. Snap, kick is heading towards the uprights, and it is good. There's still 4 seconds, 3 seconds, but BYU has taken the lead over Utah, 22-21, and the evil Cougars have the lead. The good Cougars also have the lead, though. 3rd down and 7. They hand it off to Turner, and he bursts through, and he's going to go a long ways, and he's still running. That's actually Derek Jameson, who's going to score for Utah State in a wild score, almost 73-yard touchdown for Utah State. Derek Jameson, first touch of the day, and he goes the distance. So slightly distracted in the booth by some happenings in college football world, and Utah State also takes advantage of maybe a distracted defense for Washington State that couldn't track down the 3rd-string running back from the Aggies.
Yeah, the Cougs, 49-21 looks a lot better than 49 to potentially 28.
Yeah, that's not a good play. I mean, you can give up a 50-yard chunk play as long as you don't let them score.
The scoring.
Cragen's kick is good, so Utah State, they were almost mailing it in, handing it off, and instead Jameson goes the distance.
Nearly as far as Wayshawn Parker.
41 seconds remaining.
A big drive, big burst. And it looks to be Utah's going to have 4 seconds to pray for a miracle, to maybe try to beat BYU on that ESPN game.
Yeah, and this season for Washington State, we were talking about it earlier, winning all their games is important, but they also need some help from teams in front of them to lose. BYU, one of those teams. Again, that's why we've been so involved in this game above us down in Utah, because if BYU was to lose, Washington State would probably have a much easier path to the playoff. Pitt lost tonight. That's big for Washington State.
Oh, my goodness.
They're trying to return it. They're going to run some laterals. Utah with the last desperation heave. They kick it back out. They're at about the 30-yard line. They're running it, but there's a flag down. And things are not looking good for Utah. And that one is they're still going. And he's chucking it backwards. They're still going. And the ball will be corralled by BYU, and that will be the game. So the BYU Cougars are going to beat Utah. There's a flag down, but most likely it will be on Utah. Utah State kicking it away. Smithson back deep to return at the 5-yard line. He calls fair catch, and it'll be out to the 25-yard line where they will take a knee and probably just end the game. So Derek Jameson kind of ruined the night for Washington State as they were all just kind of celebrating, ready to go in the locker room, people ready to go back home. And then he bursts a 70-yard touchdown on Washington State's defense. So coaching staff probably not too happy with that one.
I wouldn't be.
But a good night overall.
Yes,
it's 49-28. Washington State has the lead. It's been kind of a weird ending to this game where both teams almost seem to just want to get things done. And Mateer will be under center. He will take the snap from the 25-yard line, and he goes down, and the clock will roll. And both coaches will head out towards midfield. That will be it. There doesn't seem to be any reason to run another play, and the clock will kind of run down. Washington State going to get the win over Utah State, 49-28. Josiah Frank, quick reaction to this game.
Yeah, love to see the Cougs handling business. We kind of talked about it in our pregame stuff, but it was kind of a must-win game to just handle business and also kind of to rack up points. You know, the college football looks to be some people kind of coming around. But, looks to be, there was a few losses today in the college football world. So it was a must-win to handle business and to kind of rack up some points for the Cougs, which they did that. Also love to see Mateer and the guys just connecting to receivers. If that was Chris Hudson, if that's handing off to Wayshawn Parker for that big touchdown, a record-breaking touchdown. So love to see that the offense was still stirring. But kind of looking at some maybe things to work on, I think defensively would be the biggest kind of question mark. The secondary, Tyson Durant going with that injury, one of the biggest guys in the secondary. That's a big hurt. So we'd love to see that, hopefully he's back, for next game. And hopefully just trying to stop big plays like that last touchdown by Utah State. So that would be, kind of some keys that I, saw today. But, ultimately, Cougs win. Back here at Gisa Field, Martin Stadium. We're back in Pullman. We're back in the Palouse. A dub's a dub.
Dub is a dub at the end of the day. It's 49-28 is the win. Cougars survive a potential letdown game against Utah State. At the end of the day, it is a win, and the Cougars take care of business against a depleted Utah State Aggie team coming in just 2-6. They were trying to fight for the rest of their season. They needed a win out to become bowl eligible. They fall to 2-7. And Washington State moves to 8-1, the number 21 team in the country. Got some help in front of them. Pitt lost tonight. BYU, though, getting the win over Utah. That's a huge development. We were keeping tabs on that all night long. And Washington State with a 49-28 win from Josiah Frank. I'm Davis Hagen. This is KUGR Sports signing off. Cougars win it 49-28. Thank you for listening and have a good rest of your weekend. And thank you for your service to all the military members out there.